This podcast is proudly sponsored by Joro Protein, a Rhode Island plant-based protein supplement company designed for athletes and adventurers. They deliver 25 grams of protein, 5 grams of BCAAs, and 18 essential vitamins and minerals. It's non-GMO, it's gluten-free, it's allergen-free, no artificial flavors, no added sugar or stevia, and it has no additional gums, thickeners, or fillers. Right now, you can get 30% off on this podcast with the code JORO Rhody Strength 2022, and you can find them at joroprotein.com.
This podcast is brought to you by Phase CBD. That's P-H-A-Z-E. They are a local Rhode Island company who makes and manufactures a wide-ranging variety of CBD products that are formulated specifically for athletes. It doesn't matter if you're a CrossFitter, a strongman, bodybuilder, or powerlifter. These products are for you. These products range from tinctures to seltzers to even roll-on applicants. By supporting this business, you're supporting a local Rhode Island business and you're supporting this podcast directly. Please check them out at phasesports.com.
All right, what's going on, guys? Dr. Matt here, host of the Rhody Strength podcast. We have another special guest on today who I'm super excited to have on, Brett Robichaud over at Elevate. What's going on?
What's happening?
What's happening?
It's good to be here. Number 43, right?
43, 42, something like that.
Something like that.
I think I'm notoriously wrong for when I say the number, so that could just be part of my shtick. I'll just say the wrong number when it comes.
All right, perfect. Yeah. This is great. Episode number 324.
Exactly.
Okay.
We'll just repost it on that one, too. It'll be brand new.
Yeah, it's good.
So I'm just going to give a brief intro on you, and we do have the video. We're recording out of the CrossFit Providence studios. I got my new flag in the background. It's a little wrinkly, but you can't tell as much in the video.
I didn't even notice. That's a nice flag.
Hey, thank you.
This is great.
So we have Sensei Brett. He started martial arts at the age of 17, obtained black belts in Judo Karate and brown belt in Jiu-Jitsu. His knowledge of martial arts has provided him with many different learning aspects of techniques and teaching styles. He now focuses on coaching both youth and adult students. Brett holds a national coach certification from USA Judo and has a master's degree in global management from Saybrook University. So, big stuff in the martial arts world. And little Rhody.
I'm getting there, I know. Well, Rhode Island has a deep background in martial arts in the state, and you'd be amazed how many martial arts came up through here 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then, in the 90s, you had some great martial arts come up, but I think they're just... Well, I'll go further into my thoughts about probably what happened.
Sure.
But I'll talk about that in a moment.
I do want to get into that because that's actually something I didn't have written down. So that's really interesting. And I know from the karate aspect, I was talking to a couple of people. I know karate was really big in Rhode Island history too. So, all right, but let's start it off real quick with a rapid fire question. So these are mostly just for me, just because it's entertaining for me. Okay. I don't know if my listeners like it, so I've kind of chopped them down a little bit. But we have first one, favorite coffee shop. Could be Rhode Island, could be elsewhere.
You know what? My favorite coffee shop at the moment is this wonderful place on Wayland Square called Madrid. And Sergio is from Madrid.
Okay.
And unfortunately, he's probably got the best pastries in the whole New England area. That guy crushes it.
All right. I haven't heard of that, so I'm definitely going to check that out.
Maybe we're going there in a little bit.
I would love that.
Sir Sergio. Hopefully they're open on a Monday. It's funny. Sandra and I got married in Spain, and so I have an affinity towards the Spanish culture. And that guy is like, I like this guy. I was like, I got married in Spain. He goes, you speak Spanish? I'm like, no. So
no. Does Sandra speak Spanish?
No, not really.
You guys know
that's a whole other story too. Yeah. So delightful. So yes, Madrid, Wayland Square. That was not a rapid answer, so I'm sorry. I'll slow it down.
No, that's fine. Sometimes these take way too long, which I'm totally fine with. Next one, we got favorite breakfast spot, and it could be a repeat if it is.
So unfortunately, I don't eat a whole lot of breakfast.
Sure.
I'm like in a non-purposeful intermittent faster.
Okay.
It's accidental. So
just fell into it.
Almost any place that can serve some sort of breakfast that has actual real corned beef hash.
Ooh.
Not from the can.
Yeah.
They try to sneak it on you. They go, it's homemade. I'm like, is it from the can? They're like, no. I'm like, if it comes in the can, I'll know because it looks like dog food, tastes like dog food. And then they're like, here it is. I'm like, that's from the can. They're like, yeah, but we grilled and add onions. I'm like, that's...
It still originated from a can.
It's just... That's what you get.
It was at one point a can.
At one point. You just charged me $15 for canned food. So
that's always tough. Like, especially if you go to like an Italian restaurant too, you're like, I know this spaghetti costs 99 cents. Why am I paying $30 for it?
I think the breakfast that I was supposed to say was the English muffin, because that's where Sandra first laid down the law that Sandra's my wife.
Sure.
To let me know it was time to start dating. So
where is the English muffin?
It's a good question. It's on the cusp of like Cranston, Scituate, Johnson line.
Gotcha.
It's
Okay.
probably next to the new location I'm going to find for Elevate.
Okay.
Or MQ or whatever we're calling it at some point.
I've definitely driven by it because I can just picture it, but I'm like, where in Rhode Island is it?
That's right, because Liz is from Scituate, correct?
Yeah. There's another place that I actually had really good homemade corned beef cash. Cash.
I'll say cash.
It's not close, but it's the Farmer's Daughter.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that place?
Yes, I have. I think I've been there. Yeah.
It's somewhere in Mass, but there is a Farmer's Daughter like also in Rhode Island, but the one in Mass I went to, and they had really good. Everything's homemade. Everything's like locally sourced or whatever. But they had a really good one too.
There is a really good one in South Kingston.
Okay.
It could be Wakefield. It's inside a bowling alley.
Really?
It's one of my favorite breakfast spots.
What's the name of that one?
I don't know. It's called a bowling alley. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm plaguing your business and I don't know your business name.
In a bowling alley in South Kingston. There can't be that many.
Wakefield, near Narragansett, next to the BJ's.
Oh. I know where that is. I don't know the name of it either.
It's on the main road. Or off the main road, but on the main road towards the beach.
I've been there once.
It's fantastic. I was there yesterday. Thanks, guys.
Really?
Yeah.
Place most recent... I'm skipping one. And actually, this might be a skip anyway, because a lot of times it is a skip. But Celebrity Crush. And if you don't have an answer, we'll go to the next one. If you do, I'd love to hear it.
I don't have much of one. I think the only one... I'm bad with celebrities. I'm bad with names. So I think her name... You're going to tell me.
Okay, I'll try. I'm also bad with names.
Is it Camila Cabella?
Oh, the singer?
I think so.
Great voice.
That's why
I don't even know what she looks like.
She's got this one song. And I'm always like, oh, I like that song. I don't know the name of the song.
Sure.
I think it's the one that made her really popular. But I was watching... I was at a restaurant with a friend, and some young lady came on, and she was the singer for, I think it was Liverpool against maybe Real Madrid.
Sure.
This last weekend, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, what? That woman's like beautiful. She seems to be like really great.
Do you know the name of the song?
It was her. I don't no. I don't know. Never Be the Same?
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
It
could be.
I don't listen to pop music, so I'm just amazed I like it.
That's good. I know who you're talking about, though. That's good.
Closest I get to a celebrity crush, I think.
I
don't know any of your music except for this one.
I think I know your name.
You're great. I think I know your name.
We have a great voice.
Great voice.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Place most recently traveled, or any trips that are planned coming up.
Let's go with trips that are planned that's coming up. Bizarre story. I have 4 weeks. I don't feel very prepared for it, but I'm heading to Pamplona to run the bulls.
No way.
Yeah, my father has done it 3 or 4 times.
Nice.
And in his more youthful days, now he's in the 60s.
Okay.
My father was, I wouldn't say, an epitome of athleticism.
Sure.
I'm not sure where I got mine from. Other than maybe my mother, right? But not from my father.
Sure.
So every time he used to leave, I mean, I remember being like 10 years old and I was like doing numbers. So I was like, that's like 800 yards. Like,
yeah.
I play soccer every day and I'm like only 10, but I tried sprinting 400 and it was almost impossible for me. I was dying.
Yeah.
I think Dad's not going to make it. And I just remember saying bye to my dad. I was like, all right, bye, Dad. See you later. My uncle's like, I'm gonna bring him back. I was like, I don't think you can. Like, smokes a pack of cigarettes every day, drinks all the time, is not in shape. Like, he never trains.
Oh man.
Anyways, he survived several times.
It's good.
So his legacy that he wanted to do was run the bulls with his son. So my younger brother and myself are going out to Pamplona to run the bulls. I probably should take out an insurance policy before I head out there. Yeah, my dad has an operation on his foot, so I don't even know if he's able to, like, walk well, never mind running, but he's apparently running. Okay. My little brother, I'm saying, have you been training? He goes, I'm riding my bike. And I'm like, so I promised Sandra I'll make it back. So we're going to go Pamplona. Sandra's not going to be there for that. And then we're going to go San Sebastian, where Sandra and I had our honeymoon.
Nice.
And be there just for a few days. And then from there, we'll head up to Greece because it's cheaper to go through Greece to the island of Chios, and then to see my friend in Turkey. And we'll stay in Turkey for about a week or so.
Oh, it's going to be a great trip.
Yeah. It's like a rush to Turkey. That's what it is.
And that's coming in 4 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's July 4th, I head out. And so I'm trying to get as many private lessons and classes and seminars as I can before I go there. And
totally.
The whole time I'm thinking, like, price of fuel and food are going up. I sure would like to just like save up for food and fuel here in the US of A. Yeah. And now, because my dad, it's like his last ability to ever do this. I'm like, the last time ever.
Sure.
So let's go check it out.
Let's go do it. Let's go do it. So I have one more question on that before whatever. We'll go as long as we want it. But so you said it's 800 yards.
Yeah.
And like you must get like a running like head start, right?
Get a head start. So I've watched this a lot through my ages. So I'm always like, I might have to do this.
Yeah.
So the other thing I should say is like, I'm not actually terribly excited to do it. Like it's not on my bucket list. Like I can't wait to do it. It's like, I'm glad I can skip it.
Right.
Glad my dad's not going to do it. We could just skip it.
Right.
Like bullfighting, I'd be like more into that. Way more dangerous, I think.
Sure.
But at least you have some control of not getting in the way of those horns.
Yeah.
Plus, at a certain level, you realize maybe you're terrible at it and you shouldn't be doing it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're stuck in there with a bunch of drunk Spaniards and drunk Americans and drunk everyone else, and everyone's like trying to run on crowded cobblestones that are slippery, and all of a sudden the first cannon goes off, and you're like, oh, bulls are in the streets. That should be interesting.
Yeah.
Second cannon goes off, and it's like they're all running in the streets. And I guess they time it that way. Like, by the time you get to the entrance of the stadium, the bulls are on you. And they're the biggest, meanest bulls in Spain.
Yikes.
Injury rates are real. Death is real.
Do people die doing it?
100%.
Oh my God.
You not seen this?
And I've never actually seen it. I've just heard about it. I've never actually gone and looked at it.
Apparently the entrance to like the stadium is not too much bigger than like this room.
Yeah.
Well, you can imagine.
That probably fit one bull.
It's one bull. Not that many people.
Yeah. Do they have a cap on the amount of people that can do it?
They do it like every day, but like my dad wants to do it on the first day because it's like it's less crazy. And I'm like, I kind of want to watch it before I commit to it, but I don't have a choice.
Strategize a little bit.
I bought the strategies.
Nice. Nice.
Looked at it. So the bulls go one way, so you should always turn the other way when you get to the stadium.
Gotcha. Yeah.
These aren't nice bulls.
They're angry bulls.
They're not pets. They're not your friends. Yeah. They don't care if you're in the way.
Gotcha. Well, good luck.
Thanks.
We'll move on to the next.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah. We'll move on to the next question. We have favorite podcasts.
So the first podcast I got really into was probably Tim Ferriss.
Cool. Yeah, I like that one a lot too.
I read the 4 Hour Body. I read the 4 Hour Workweek first. That really changed my perspective about life and work. So thanks, Tim. 4 Hour Body was great. I read X amount of that stuff, the slow carb diet, those sort of things, and just ideas. I didn't read the cookbook, Tim. So if you're finally listening to Matt's podcast, Tim. I didn't read the cookbook, so sorry about that. But the one that I probably got into the most, just because it was such a long podcast, was Joe Rogan's podcast. He always had such interesting guests. I do martial arts. Joe Rogan does martial arts.
Totally.
He'd have very interesting people on all the time. Would it be comedian? I mean, I have a bunch of wild, different friends. So martial artists, comedians, scientists, right up my alley. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. I don't know if I had heard of Jordan Peterson during the Joe Rogan podcast, or I'd listened to Jordan Peterson on his lectures that he had randomly online, because I'm always randomly on YouTube videos, and I don't even know what lands in my feed.
They just pop up.
I like psychology. I like Jungian archetypes, so that kind of popped in.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe that's Joe Rogan's fault too. Who knows?
Could be.
But so Joe Rogan was one of the few podcasters that was running for like 2-3 hours straight.
Yeah.
So my commute to work when I opened Elevate. I changed jobs, careers, because I really wanted to learn sales. And I knew my uncle had a company, right as he was selling it actually, that sold software for engineers. And also sold 3D printers. And I was in my master's degree at the same time. My master's degree was all about like global culture and management of dispersed workforce. That's a mouthful, sorry, but it's part of like organizational system stuff, which really gets me going, right? Organizational behavior, system psychology within people and groups, and group collective, unconscious. I'll nerd right out. Okay, so that's going to pop up when we talk about martial arts as well. So I knew that I would be forced to get really good at sales, which is so imperative to like actually running a business.
Yeah.
No sales.
No money.
No money, right?
No money,
so
no
sad.
business.
and sales are really uncomfortable because you have to get really, really accustomed to failure. Just like, so the fast way to get accustomed to failure is like high price items.
Sure.
With engineers that are crazy difficult, and you don't know engineering, and you don't know any of that stuff, and you're not in love with it, and you got to sell it. So I thought I was going to have more of a remote job for the company. And then my uncle sold the company right in the middle of me jumping into the company. He goes, by the way, it's like last in, first out, so hope it works out. I was like, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. And if it doesn't, I'll get a job someplace else.
Yeah.
So it ended up not becoming a remote job. And so I was kind of stuck. I felt very obligated because I loved my uncle so much, and he gave me the opportunity to even apply for the job, even though I could have had other jobs that would have definitely been easier, but maybe easy is not what you need when you're trying to develop the skills, right?
Yeah.
So I found an apartment that was above the gym that I had opened in Exeter, Rhode Island.
Sure.
Which I didn't know was a town until I had moved my gym there, right? And so I would drive from Exeter to Marlborough, Massachusetts, and with traffic in the early morning, and then towards the evening, it was sometimes like a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
So I would drive 2 hours through traffic, and I was like, oh, wow, I don't like doing this. But I would convince myself it was all about a grit test, and it's all about struggle. You're fine. Don't be weak. Let's go. Man, you do that for like a year and a half. And you're like, doesn't matter how much powder speak you got. I remember one car ride, I was driving up there, and I was like, man, this is so good for you. This is good. Like you're getting all this knowledge. Joe Rogan podcast. You got audiobooks on the line. Thanks, Joe. Like it got weird though, because I thought I started like responding to Joe when he would ask a question. I was like, Joe's not here.
Wait, Joe's not here.
Then I realized like you're driving too much. And you're way too busy.
Right.
So I remember just driving. I was like, it's good. It's a grit test. And all of a sudden, like everyone's slamming the brakes. I knew I was going to be late for like work and a meeting. And I'm just stuck. And I knew there was no accident. It's just people just want to slam on the brakes. Yeah. I remember just saying out loud in the car, like, am I allowed to swear on this?
Yeah.
Okay. This was me. I fucking hate this. Yeah. And I just let it all like come over me. I was like, yeah. Yep. I'm very positive today. Yeah. So 2 hours there, Joe Rogan podcast, or maybe an hour and a half. I was really lucky. And then I would try to rush out early from the office, which was no one liked that either because the sales weren't doing very well for this one department. I'd just make cold calls all day. So you have here you are working a master's degree for like higher end hierarchy of organizations to help them grow and be creative. Yeah. And you're at the bottom. Yeah. Making cold calls. Rough. And no one wants your product because the product doesn't really exist and the marketing's not there. It was a software product for a large company called SolidWorks, and there was a newer product that they wanted to make, but they didn't tell the other companies they weren't really gonna like fully fledge it out. They just kind of tricked everyone.
I have a weird parallel. My dad was selling software for engineers in Marlborough, Mass, but it was a different company.
Was it CAD Edge or Trimec?
Kubota.
Kubota?
It's a Japanese company.
Well, yeah, I figured that.
And they ended up just shipping up and moving back to Japan.
Yeah, okay, that's normal. That's okay. I get that.
They went like, oh, we're doing really good, and all of a sudden, like, oh, we're not doing really good. Yeah, we're gonna go back to Japan.
This is how it goes. Yeah, it's a new world.
Is there a lot of companies like that in Marlborough?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, because you have all of Boston there. You know, you get MIT, all these colleges, all these engineers, and so all these people got entrepreneury, right? And they create their software companies. I mean, you got Desktop Metal, and that's a 3D printer company that prints metal. Right. What? 3D printing metal. So pretty wild. Mark Forge is up there. They're also doing very well with carbon fiber, some metal items as well. But like Dassault Systems is like the French company that owns SolidWorks. Yeah. And SolidWorks was essentially another Boston area company. Yeah. Maybe Cambridge or so, but I'll just say Boston area. Yeah. And so like you have some monolith companies that are up there. Yeah. Just crushing it. In fact, I have a dear friend. I'll go back to the podcast. I'm so sorry.
Go for it.
I have a friend, Dan Fagella, and he's like steeped in artificial intelligence. That's a whole other story that I can go over that revolves immensely around jiu-jitsu, but
wow, okay,
I'll stay with this. And so he had moved out to San Francisco because that's where like all the AI is kind of happening. And he moved back to Boston. He goes, oh, it's actually here.
Really?
Yeah. So flop.
Yeah, Boston Robotics.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah. Yikes.
Hope those robots like us.
Yeah.
So yes, the podcast, I would listen to like half of Joe Rogan.
Yep.
Get out of the car, make cold calls all day, just like, and try to like really monitor what I ate and drank, because I had to make a 2-hour trip back. There's no time for rest stops.
Sure.
At all.
Sure.
And you got to stay awake.
Yeah.
Even though you've been on the road for 4 hours a day, cold calls inside an office with like glaring light that you don't like, it's probably not good for you. And
Sure.
you see like the beautiful days outside. You're like, bye, beautiful days.
Bye.
I'm in here. And then, so I drive hours back. Joe Rogan kind of kept me awake.
Yeah,
road.
sure.
It was like someone was talking.
Kept
to
your
me,
mind stimulated.
right? Audiobooks are fun, but after a while, there's no one else talking.
Yeah,
So,
it's a
like,
one-way
you
conversation.
It's a one-way conversation.
Yeah.
And so I would, I'd get out of the car. I'd be next to her. My bladder would be too full. And I would be just exhausted, tired, irritated, upset.
Mm.
And as soon as you open the door to the gym, like the coach, the sensei,
Yeah.
no one cares if you have a bad day. In fact,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to have a bad day.
Sure.
So I would be like coming in like, hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so good to see you. Hey, hey, what's going on? Because you're the leader.
Sure.
And you're the coach. And you're
Yeah.
the sensei. Like, there's so many layers of relationships that you need to like dig through.
Yeah.
And so that was always such a wild switch for me to go from like lower hierarchy
Yeah.
to like top of hierarchy in like 2 hours.
To flip a switch.
You got to flip it. You gotta
Yeah.
flip it hard, and then you got to return back to lower hierarchy. Oh gosh, this podcast's gonna be wild.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll just end it on this. At this one tangent. This goes into another one, but that's all right. And so then I would finish coaching practice. I would clean up. Center would be like, I hate this. I hate teaching judo and all these things. And I'd be like, yeah, okay. Well, I'm sure things will get better. Like, well, we don't have any money. I'm like, yeah, I know. And then I would go upstairs. We found an apartment above there.
Yeah.
So thank goodness.
Yeah.
And then I would eat dinner, and then I would go right to work my master's degree.
Wow.
It was bad.
Yeah. Wow.
Did that for years. But at some point where just you'll have to remind me to go over lower hierarchies, up higher echelons of hierarchies within an organization, and how people can fit within it, and what the heck to do with creative people.
I got a great topic to bounce that off
Oh,
of, so I just wrote a note down. All right, that was great because we filled in a lot of gaps almost ahead of the Back to the Future style.
Yeah,
in a way. All right, but next question, we got favorite Instagram accounts, and some people are just like, I actually hate Instagram and just move on. I'm like, all right, fair enough. But I mean, it could be something that's like inspiring, something that's just funny, entertaining, or something maybe that's educational, or something that you just like.
I gotta think about it. I can tell you right now, I do a terrible job at Instagram.
Sure.
I could have a great channel.
Yeah.
Terrible job at Instagram. People are like, where's Brett? I'm like, I'm right here. I'm Judo Brett. Judo.Brett, whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's like nothing on me. Nothing that I actually do every day.
Sure.
When I think about like my normal day, I'm like, ooh, that's way more interesting than this other person that's like got like 100,000 people.
Yeah.
I've got like what, 200? I don't post anything.
Yeah.
So Elevate Dojo.
Sure,
We
yeah.
do a terrible job at our Instagram too. Like,
I feel you guys have good pictures up. But yeah, you just
pictures, but we have like,
yeah.
I don't know, like 500 pictures we could post all the time. Never
Yeah.
mind amazing judo throws and jiu-jitsu moves. Never mind like
totally.
chopping down trees with giant axes that I like do in my spare time. This conversation.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
things. But like, so yeah. I would like to be way better at Instagram. So
Sure.
I don't even know if I have a favorite Instagram account.
Sure. Okay.
I watch Mangler MMA.
Okay.
Matt Bissett is a MMA fighter based out of Connecticut. I watch his because like I like Matt. He finds the funniest videos he shares on his story. So I find myself like, thanks Matt. He did some digging for me. I don't have to do the digging. It's good. I mean, it's not a big Instagram kind of thing. It's just sometimes when I go on Instagram, I'm just there to like almost watch TV in a way.
Yeah, true.
Just like I gotta chill
Just
out.
zone out.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. What about do you like the whole like Gordon Ryan stuff that he does and how?
I don't mind. I don't mind Gordon and Steph. I mean, so I'm a giant fan of John Danaher.
Sure,
I think
sure.
his style of teaching and concepts really, really helpful on how I learn things and how I can look at things and see through the lens of what he's doing. I have nothing but utmost respect for great coaches, but even more so towards great combative coaches, because I think there's just so many things that you have to go through as a combative coach or a martial arts coach that like you don't really get to talk about. Like it's not really a thing. And so I was trying to think to myself, there's probably very few humans in the United States alone that have been a paid coach as long as he has been. A lot of business owners. I don't know who has been a longer paid coach. He started coaching in New York City, I believe, when he was a purple belt.
Okay.
And it was a while ago. Now he started in his 20s, maybe even late 20s. And that adds a whole other element, which I'm positive we're going to jump down pretty soon.
Yeah.
Okay? Now I didn't start like Judo Jiu Jitsu realistically into my early 20s. And when we have other questions, I'm positive I'll dive deeper into that. So John Donner, I have the utmost respect. And so as Gordon Ryan is one of his most advanced students, I can appreciate all of Gordon's hard work and things that he does.
Totally.
His Instagram account's fine.
Yeah.
It's all fine. I think, I mean,
he likes to troll people.
I'm you know, when you get like multiple black belts and you're still working on more belts and you're doing martial arts and you get several like undergraduate or graduate degrees.
Yeah.
I just think at some point I should stop. I also have we all have attributes, right?
Sure.
And mental attributes. Some are helpful, some are not as helpful. Some can be helpful in certain situations, some can be detrimental. One of my helpful, non-helpful things is I'm a very creative person. So I have a high in openness and a crazy high in creativity. They're both like almost in the 90th X plus percentile.
Gotcha.
So I can take in so much information from different lenses and places that I'm like, it's all fine. Some people would see probably Gordon Ryan stuff and be like, that guy's the worst.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
maybe tunnel vision isn't the right word for it, but they have less of a wide scope of like, this is okay, this is not okay.
Well, a lot of people have less of an ability to have a wide scope. And there's actually, as much as I think would be helpful for people to be potentially more open, there's also a potential of being not capable of having as wide of an openness. And there's nothing wrong with this. Having a high ability for openness and high creativity, I don't know if you'd wish it on everyone. In fact, there's probably very few people that have both those things lined up.
Sure.
What that does is causes some issues.
Yeah, sure.
Go get a job.
Yeah.
See how high openness, high creativity goes.
See how that works.
Your 9-to-5 job.
I have one. I don't want to get too more deep into it, but I have one more one I wanted to ask you about for Instagram accounts / YouTube.
Sure.
Daisy Fresh.
Oh yeah, I watched Daisy Fresh. Once again, nothing but respect for people that have results of any kind, and they certainly have a culture that they're building. They're doing the right stuff, by the way. And by the right stuff, I mean they're posting their training. They put it up on YouTube. I remember I was out in California with a gentleman named Scott Nelson, and Scotty Nelson, he owned all the OTM fight shops out there, and he still has Lucky Gi, but now he's got. I'm sorry, everyone potentially watching this, every 50 people that are watching this right now, or 3,000 or 300,000. I'm all over the place today. I took those nootropics and I guess they work for creativity. I'm like, I didn't need the extra creativity. I'll tell you that much. So Scotty Nelson, I was out with him. He now has a stem cell research hospital, plus they also administer stem cells at Tijuana, right outside San Diego. So a lot of the top MMA and Jiu-Jitsu and other athletes are going there and getting stem cells and like literally recovering from some crazy injuries.
Yeah.
But I met him and we're eating burritos like in LA. They had just done a filming thing with like Jeff Glover and a lot of these other champions. Even and Henry Akins was there as well. And
oh, cool.
I'm eating burritos with Scotty Nelson and a few other of his friends. I said, you guys have it all. Like, you just don't know you do yet. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, the sports that got truly popular, like the sports that don't involve teams and ball sports, became truly popular based upon the capability of making video in California. The ability to take video where you know how to edit and shoot at certain angles,
Mm.
creates an awareness and almost a longingness to try out these sports or at least watch them.
Sure.
So what are the major sports in California that took off that are like, you couldn't think of California without thinking of these sports? What would be two?
Surfing?
Surfing, yeah. 100%.
Skateboarding?
There we go. And there could be one more.
I would argue Olympic weightlifting too, because California Strength was one of the
Sure.
big, like, early, like,
That's very true. Yes.
Yeah. One more.
It's cheating. It involves a board as well.
Wakeboarding?
Snowboarding.
Really? Okay.
Burton, all these places, right?
Oh, Burns and Cali. I didn't know that.
So, I digress a little bit. We can go deeper into that.
Sure.
I'm going to check on Burton. I think you're in California. I could be wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm like talking like Burton's watch.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I ride for Jake.
Have you ever been watching TV and a surf video popped up in the early 2000s?
I'm sure.
Did you ever look away?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Do you know how to surf?
Yeah.
Did you know how to surf before you watched the video?
Definitely. I just learned how to surf like 2-3 years ago.
Why
Yeah.
the heck are you watching?
Yeah. Right. Because it looks cool.
Because it looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's cut. It's got
Yeah.
music behind it.
Mm-hmm.
The scenes. You're enthralled by it. Skateboarding? I hate skateboarding.
But it's fun to watch.
But if you put a skateboarding video on,
Yeah.
you cut it, and you got the music with it,
Yeah.
I'm going to watch. And an hour goes by, I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I here? Snowboarding? I don't do any of that stuff. I will watch snowboarding video.
Yeah. The film edits.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you realize, like, just, they have scenery over here, they get B-roll over here, then they have the activity, then they have the activity with the angle, they have people talking, people hanging out, plus music. And I just said, if you guys did the same thing for Jiu-Jitsu,
Yeah.
you could create the same culture.
Sure.
The same people that are watching those, you could find a way for people to watch that too.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you know it? Some videos started popping up. Amazing videos.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah.
The skating and surfing videos. You can find them on YouTube. They probably got like 1 million+ views.
Yeah.
By now. SoCal Jiu-Jitsu, I think, was one of them, or California Jiu-Jitsu, like Jiu-Jitsu for the world, like, and there's magazines that were coming out, and then all of a sudden you had things like Flow Grappling.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. These people realize, like, the sports that made it here in the U.S., the ball sports primarily, right? The people that ran those sports as a sport league realized the number one thing that you need to do is not just people in seats in the stadium, but to get the virtual seats. So you have to get on TV.
Sure.
And you had to find a way to how to adapt or modify your sport.
Yeah.
So that way it's on TV.
Sure.
Baseball, a lot of commercial breaks. Football, a lot of commercial breaks. Basketball, a lot of commercial breaks.
Yeah.
Right? But the big thing is they secured the cable rights to watch things on TV. There's another sport that did that. Well, I would argue it's a sport and theater at the same time, perhaps. It's called entertainment now, but you need to be athletic and you need to be able to be entertaining. There was a major aspect of U.S. culture that manifested into what we now know as sports entertainment. And it was based on a combative art, by the way. It was based on
MMA.
First, MMA came after it.
Okay.
Catch wrestling became pro wrestling.
Gotcha.
And so the pro wrestlers, many of them were catch wrestlers back in the day, was originated
John
from Europe
Cena
here.
or that type of stuff, or no?
Oh, no.
No.
I mean, yes, that's pro wrestling.
Okay.
But catch wrestling is essentially submission wrestling.
Okay.
Whenever you hear Abraham Lincoln was a great wrestler from Illinois,
Yeah.
you might want to think of Nogi Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
Does that make more sense now?
Sure, okay.
Yeah, these guys were tough people. So catch wrestling had catch as catch can is still a style today. You'll have to YouTube it later and
All right.
go down the rabbit hole there. But you had submission wrestling. Josh Barnett is a famous catch wrestler for such MMA folks, and there's several others, right?
Huh.
Bill Robinson, I believe. I hope he's still around, but he had a wealth of information as well. The McMahon family realized, I got to break it down. Pro wrestling had what was called stables. And so in each part of the United States, each stable had a territory. A family, usually family-owned territory, where they could go town to town on weekends or other nights where they would do their performances of pro wrestling.
Okay.
And so they had heels and good guys and baby faces, et cetera, et cetera. And so they would go town to town. That was their territory. You didn't encroach on someone's territory. That's their territory to run their shows, to fill their tickets, to fill their pockets, to feed their families. The McMahon family, so we know Vince McMahon, but his father and him, they started buying up people's territories. They were like, hey, do you want to sell your territory to us? We'll take the territory, and then we'll have the WWF become part of the territory. And so they, across America and parts of Canada, Bret the Hitman Hart and his family, Stu Hart, they would purchase the territories. And the number one thing that they were doing, not just territory town to town, they were making sure the cameras were there. They were filming. Thus, what we see now is WWE was WWF, WCW, and now you have all these other pro wrestling. At least in the US, we can go over Japan a whole other way. But, maybe we could. We'll see about that. That's how it got so popular. It was just being on camera.
Right. Makes sense. So, more eyes on the sport.
The biggest thing that's the detriment for our current combative sports involve grappling. Wrestling is on the rise now, being watched much more. Flow grappling, flow wrestling, all these things are a big proponent. YouTube is a big proponent. Instagram is a big proponent. All these things, potentially Facebook as well. All these things have become major players for that. Keep in mind, it was almost kicked out of the Olympics like not too long ago.
Wrestling was?
Oh yeah, you didn't know this.
Drugs or no?
No, entertainment.
Really?
You gotta, to be in the Olympics, you have to be somewhat entertaining.
Yeah.
Judo is always probably a little nervous about getting kicked out of the Olympics. Like, is it wrestling? Or is it wrestling with a jacket? If it's too similar, got some differentiation. Maybe no leg grabs. Maybe that'll make it different than wrestling. Hence, no leg grabs in Judo at the moment, right?
Sure.
So, there's all these things. Now, there's other situations as well about why rules might be made. But we have to recall, we're talking not too long ago, probably less than 15 years ago still, wrestling was on the cutting block for the Olympics. Wow. Think about that.
That's wild.
Wakeboarding.
The original sport.
Wakeboarding's in.
Ping pong.
Curling's in. Ping pong's in. Wrestling, get out.
One of the original sports.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's crazy.
So I think a lot of what needs to potentially happen, and we'll go further and further into this, is just like those surfing videos, just like the skateboard.
Yeah.
WWE, which is called now, so we'll just call it pro wrestling in the United States. There has to be a capability of creating more fandom. Yeah. If you don't create fans, we're always going to have a slight issue getting things to the next level for any of these combative arts.
Sure.
Boxing's a little bit easier to become a fan of because it's been on TV for X amount of time.
Forever.
Now, wrestling was, or at least catch wrestling was for a little bit, it was entertainment, but it didn't work out. It didn't get the same numbers as boxing had. And for whatever reason, I'm sure there's a bunch of them. I'm sure there's boxing historians that could go over that more. I think it's a little easier for humans who have no background in combative arts. Two people have two hands. The job is trying to knock each other out. You're like, all right.
Who drops?
Watching a jiu-jitsu match with the rule sets that we have right now for it. Maybe even just, we'll pick on the gi for a little bit.
Yeah.
You're like, which one's winning? I don't know, the guy in the white gi. They're both wearing white gis. Well, see that colorful belt? Yeah, that's the other guy. Okay. They're just hugging each other. 5 minutes go by, and you're like, they're still just hugging each other, And so, like, for us, for like even as like a diehard jiu-jitsu fan, sometimes I'm like, this match is tough to watch.
Nothing is happening.
Yeah,
stalemate.
So there has to be a way to create an ability to have more fans of the sport. And right now, the primary people that buy the online tickets and the in-person tickets are practitioners of the sport.
Sure. I feel like it's getting a lot of hype. I mean, from podcasting, Joe Rogan,
yes, 100%.
Jocko, are two big ones that they just talk about the training and how much they love it.
Is a big person. I should have mentioned Lex Friedman. I've been really enjoying his podcast as well. He wasn't around when I had to make those hard drives. Joe was around. Joe stuck by me that whole time. Thanks, Joe. I really appreciate you keeping me awake and not crashing into other vehicles. And giving me all that knowledge, too.
Right.
You had a lot of really smart people on there. That was very, very helpful. Helped my active listening a lot. So, thanks.
I'm going to move on. Just next question of our rapid fire.
Oh my gosh, it's all a rapid fire. This is not good.
Well, we're filling in a lot of the gaps as we go, so that's fine.
You can interrupt me whenever you want. I'll just keep going through the loop. I mean, I'll end up in the same spot at some point, but you're like, man, Brett's the hardest guy to interview.
No, you're good. You're easy. Current favorite submissions, moves, escapes. I mean, you can skip the question if you want. But...
No, we'll do it. Oh, God. Ready for like another 30-minute non-dialogue, just monologue? A soliloquy, maybe.
Sure.
Right? Okay, so for the longest time, I had an affinity towards Kensetsu Waza. So the limb.
Okay.
Limb breaking, right?
Okay.
Sweet. It's called Kensetsu Waza.
Breaky.
Japanese terminology. Yes, the breakies and the takeies. And a lot of that, I truly came down to, I was teaching myself jiu-jitsu on campus. We'll go over that story later. On campus in the University of Redlands and out of my garage when I finally had a garage of some sorts in Redlands. I didn't have a car, so I just had to find people that were like, hey, I found these mats. Do you want to try beating me? And then grapply things. And some people are like, who's this crazy person? And they're like, oh, that's Brett. He's always trying to bring these mats around and try to figure this stuff out. You guys all have a whole different ballgame now. I was literally running, because I didn't have a car. I would run or walk all the way down. I think it was not Barnes and Nobles. What was Borders at the time, potentially.
Where is this?
California. Yeah, I mean, here, Province too. I mean, Province
sure.
Borders too, where they closed down. So it was either Barnes and Nobles or Borders, and there was jiu-jitsu books at the time. That was all that was available. YouTube really wasn't a thing yet.
Sure.
Neither was online tutorials either.
Oh, yeah.
So I would go in there, and Eddie Bravo had Mastering the Rubber Guard, and I would just couldn't afford the book. Sorry, Eddie. So I would sit down, and I would just sit on the floor. And I would just read and read and read. And I was like, what's mission control? And I'm like, what is this? Triangles, okay.
Would you be practicing the things in Borders?
No, I'd have to memorize it. So that's
yeah.
So this is why I'm a hyper visual learner. So
sure.
I can actually see something and be like, I got it.
Yeah.
And then I can go teach it.
Yeah.
Because I had to do that.
Right.
So I used to read the book, run home for miles.
Don't lose it. Don't forget.
Okay. And I would
you forget one piece, you're like, shit.
That's exactly,
run back to Borders.
I'd be like, and then everyone would be watching me, and everyone's 5 people that I found willing to come by, and I'm like, and then you do
something else. I'll be right back.
And run it down. So Kensetsu Waza and arm bars became such a big deal for me because I had the sheer appreciation and honor of being able to have Anne-Maria DeMars as a coach for me in California. So my father-in-law and my sensei is Serge Boisu, and he's one of the foremost judo instructors, practitioners of all time here in the United States.
Wow.
You can mention his name anywhere in the U.S. If you know judo, you know Sensei Serge. It's just the way it is. International, complete credit as well.
Wow.
As much as I think I figure out judo,
there's always more.
I mean, it's hard to catch up.
Yeah, sure.
You're always behind 10, 20, 30 years on someone.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to deal with, So he got me to be able to train with Gary Goltz out in California.
No, the judo practitioner?
Yes, yeah. He has a dojo out there. I could tell you how I used to get to practice over there, but I'm not going to on the podcast.
Okay.
Right? It was an hour away. I didn't have a car, and so I had to always find ways and rides and all this stuff, and there wasn't much of a public transportation. So
I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just too long of a story.
Sure.
How these things happen.
Sure.
Nothing illegal.
Okay, that's good.
Just too long of a story.
Sure.
So, and I was at a tournament, and I was talking to some random kid. I didn't really know judo, but I just knew put them on their backs, you win, right?
Yeah.
At that time, and if you get a brown belt at that time, you can finally armbar people. And I was like, that would be probably good for me, right? Mm-hmm. And I ran into Anne-Maria DeMars. She goes, "I'm sorry, did you say you're from Rhode Island?" And I was like, yes, I did. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Brett. She goes, "Well, I'm Anne-Maria DeMars." I'm like, "Oh, okay. It's nice to meet you." She goes, "Do you know who I am?" And I was like, your name, I think your name sounds a little familiar. She's like, it should be. I'm world champion. And I was like, okay, all right.
Sorry.
And she goes, well, I expect you to, you're Surge's student? You know Surge? I was like, yeah, Surge's the one who told me to come out here. He goes, oh, I expect you to win. I was like, okay. That tournament, I dislocated 3 of my ribs and my collarbone from my sternum, and all I can remember was Anne-Maria saying, you know, Surge, I expect you to win.
Oh,
and I had the
man.
fear of her calling Surge, like, that guy's a wuss. Don't coach that guy anymore. So I finished that tournament, and I won that tournament.
No way!
With my ribs and my collarbone sticking out of my freaking chest.
Oh.
They still stick out, by the way.
Yikes. Ouch.
Didn't feel good. So Anne-Marie DeMars, I don't know if you know it, is Ronda Rousey's mom.
Oh, okay.
And so
That's
Anne-Marie
awesome.
DeMars was very adamant that judo did not mean the gentle way, that judo did not mean, minimal effort, maximum results, the whole, mutual benefit welfare. She goes, it's just about arm bars, Brett. Like, knock it off. And so that's where I got it from.
Interesting.
So
I wouldn't put arm bars and judo together.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Well, think about it. How many ways are there to win a judo match? Now, you haven't been on my judo classes. You've just been mostly my jiu-jitsu classes.
Yeah.
Right? Judo is jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is judo.
Okay.
That's the way we can go deeper into that. I'll make that as fast as I can. People are going to be freaking out right now, but it's all right. So there's multiple ways to win a judo match. One of them, let's go over what winning a judo match is supposed to mean.
Sure.
Ippon. Ippon means one.
Mm-hmm.
But what is Ippon, what is it supposed to symbolize on the battlefield?
Ippon is Japanese for
one full point.
Gotcha, okay.
But in judo, the full point symbolizes winning.
Gotcha.
What's winning in a combative sport? Death.
taking the other person's life.
Yes.
Yeah. In
So,
war. Yeah.
If you can throw someone with incredible power to the ground,
Sure.
flat on their back, power, control,
Could finish them.
they thought that was pretty much going to be it.
Yeah.
Now, if you're on the battlefield, you're wearing armor, and you get slammed like that, it's probably it,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
If I throw you with like an osotogari outside, and it's not grass, but it's concrete.
Yeah. That's
Unless I love you and I cover your head right before it happens,
Right.
I could be in trouble. You could be in deeper trouble. Okay.
Right.
Now the next things are, well, what's the next one?
Yeah.
Next one, at least in current judo rule sets, is the hold down. And so we can call it pinning, but if we start calling it pinning, we have different ideas of pinning based on folk style wrestling. We have 3 points down on the shoulders and the neck area.
Sure.
But a hold down is like, can I control you when I pass your dangerous legs of some sort, either through a pass or a throw, and now I'm holding you down and controlling you. If I can hold you down for 30 odd seconds on your back, 20 seconds on your back, well, if I have another buddy, I'm probably gonna be fine. That makes sense.
Yeah,
You can't move, and I can hold you down. I can probably start doing bad things too.
Sure.
Whether it be punching or kicking or submitting, etc., etc. So those are the 2 normal ways of winning judo. There's 2 other normal ways. One of them is arm bars.
Okay.
Or I shouldn't say just arm bars. It was essentially joint locks.
Okay.
So way back, you were allowed to do leg breakies.
In judo.
Yes. Well, they took that out because they're like, it's not good.
Breaking people's legs.
Non-ACL surgeries that we don't have yet, right?
Sure. Sure.
Plus, there's an inherent risk due to the nerves having less sensitivity in your legs and your knees.
Sure.
Yeah. Maybe beginners should tap faster. Maybe they don't know to tap. Come on, right? Arms. You don't need to walk around the arms. Your arms arm doesn't work. It's like, well, can you walk? All right. Looks nice. Pretty good, right?
Yeah. Better than if you can't walk.
So, if your arm is broken, your ability to fight me after that, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to win anyways. I'm probably going to throw you, hold you down, or the 4th way, strangle you. So there's 4 ways to win judo.
Are there's chokes in
100%.
So it's just standing up jiu-jitsu in many ways. Well, not even standing. You're on the ground too.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is good. You went right to it.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we're in it. Now we're in the mix. Here we go.
So
what is judo comprised of then?
Why? Here's a question that might be dumb or it might be a good question.
That's great. Think of it.
Why isn't there a mixed
Go ahead.
a judo and jiu-jitsu competition.
There is.
Is it mixed martial arts?
Well, yes, if you add a temiwaza, which was the original form of jiu-jitsu as well. Temiwaza is punching and kicking, right?
Okay.
Okay. Kosen judo probably looked alarmingly lot what we see in sport jiu-jitsu today.
Okay.
What about ADCC?
The jiu-jitsu competition?
Yeah.
Yeah. They usually...
Seems a lot more throwing, doesn't it? Seems a lot more wrestling.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. They had a great, I thought it was one of the best versions of jiu-jitsu competitions. It was called Quintet. I think they're still doing it. There was a team competition. They do it for college, high school judo as well.
Okay.
And so you have stalling stuff. It's no-gi right now in the Quintet, but you have stalling. Man, they can call you for stalling. I think Gordon Ryan got called for stalling when he was mounting someone because he wasn't doing it from top mount. He was like, what? You get yellow cards. It's really great. So three yellow cards, Shidos, that you get disqualified.
No way.
Okay, so this is great. We're right in it. There's becoming more and more avenues for jiu-jitsu and judo athletes to start showcasing certain skills. Everything about the sports that we see today for combative sports, not for the martial art itself, let's just go for sports,
sure,
is only really revolved around what are the prerequisites and rule exchanges that leads me to winning.
Sure.
It's all about the winning. No one likes people who lose all the time.
Yeah.
I love him. He loses all the time. There's not a whole lot in our culture where you're like, yeah, great. So
go Cleveland Browns.
So I mean, that's just the way it goes, right? People like to see excellence. They like to see excellence win. I'm not saying you have to have a perfect record, but people like to see if you're losing all the time. You're like, we're probably not going to follow you.
Yeah,
because you're probably not going to help us very much, right?
Sure.
The rule sets dictate how to win. In judo, the rule set was comprised over X amount of time. Keep in mind, these judo, the name of judo is not very long. Maybe 120, maybe 130, 40 years. It's been called judo.
Okay.
Kodokan was created in 1882. They might have still been calling it at the time, by the way, Kano Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, interesting.
Kano Sensei, Jigoro Kano, developed judo, which was Kano Jiu-Jitsu at the time, because he was learning from 3 different Jiu-Jitsu instructors who all 3 subsequently passed away before he could finish up a lot of his training. So, like me in college, unbeknownst to me, he made his own little dirt patch. It was like, anyone want to throw and choke each other in this little dirt patch, right?
And most people are like, let's get away from that guy.
But a few next days, it got really good. So the whole concept about why judo was called the gentle way, oh man, we might be skipping around. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
I have to keep it technical for a second. I'm going to get lost.
Okay.
This all started because you asked me how to win judo. Same ways you win in jiu-jitsu, if you really think about it.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
Jiu-jitsu in Japan was typically taught as a samurai class kind of martial art. Makes sense, right?
Sure.
Your job is to fight with weapons and these really big razor blades called katanas, right? Don't get stabbed. That's kind of like the job.
Yeah.
Don't die. Jiu-jitsu does really well with being unarmed and not dying from sharp pointing blades.
Okay, yeah.
There we go. Right?
Yeah.
I lost my sword. I hope I had jiu-jitsu. Okay. Punching and hitting the armor, probably not so great.
Sure.
Probably not a whole lot of damage with my fist up to your shells, okay? But if I throw you, smack you on the back, maybe I'll have time to gas my buddy for help or take out a small blade of my own and let's go at it. Strangle and do other stuff. That's when the armor was there. Then when the armor became less than that, still was prevalent, right? So there's other layers to this. I'm skipping around. I'm very sorry, but there's so much information I cannot contain. So if anyone's listening to this, you're like, you're missing all these things. I know, man. I'm trying to get. We're still in the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
I haven't hit on any of the questions yet.
That's all right.
You have to keep in mind that during this time, there was almost like a cultural revolution in Japan. The social classes are literally flipping on its head.
Okay. The
samurai, which was pretty high up in the social hierarchy of things, they're right up here, and merchants are below everyone else
Interesting.
Artisans, merchants are way down here. And when the Western cultures came in and forced their way in to do trade and stuff, that culture switch happens like this in a very short amount of time. Merchants, business people, they suddenly take the top part, and the samurai are slowly being cut down in their power and abilities to have a higher area of hierarchy. They get rid of the top knot. You're not allowed to have that. You can't carry your sword anymore in the streets. They outlaw swords in the streets. There's like two major signs that things aren't going so well for the samurai.
And the top knot was a symbol of hierarchy, essentially?
Yes, samurai.
Yeah.
Right. So they start getting rid of like the old traditional ways, probably from the Tokugawa era, and they start replacing it with more westernized cultural things, which I can understand. They were like, we need to catch up fast. We've been an island folk for like 200-300 years.
Sure.
And we thought we were advancing pretty fast, but these people just came over with a steam engine. Things aren't so good, right? Okay, rifles arriving, all these things.
Yeah.
And so what happens is you have these martial artists who used to teach for these the lords and the feudal kind of ages over there. They used to teach. They're pretty well respected teachers. Now they got to make money, and no one wants to take jiu-jitsu or any of their arts because that's not going to help you.
Sure.
The next stage of things.
Sure.
Or at least what people think. So a lot of jiu-jitsu back then was hand in hand with essentially prize fighting. Which now we see today is like a cool thing.
Yeah.
But back then they're like, I'm not letting my kids become a prize fighter.
Right,
like,
right.
People die in those matches. I'm good. Right?
Yeah. Like almost like a back alley boxer or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, they're prize fighting, right?
Yeah.
So Jiro Kano is a genius. He was essentially the great teacher or the great professor of Japan. And so he's like, yeah, I think this stuff is so important for like the harnessing of human potential. We got to keep this going. Yeah. And so Jiu-Jitsu means essentially soft or giving techniques. Okay. It doesn't feel so soft all the time, but if you think about it, you're not going force with force. Yeah. Okay. You're giving way and taking tori kind of relationship, and you're defeating people through strangulation and breaking of limbs, etc., etc. Of course, you could always add temiwaza in there, striking, but that's a different story for a different time. Jiro Kano said, yeah, he has the Kodokan, and he's teaching not just martial arts, but he's actually a teacher for a lot of the students, of the children, the sons of the people that are running the government. They're sending their kids to him, to his school. Just so happens he's like, man, jiu-jitsu is a good idea to create artificial struggle, to make these people have an understanding of other people and grit and tenacity and respect and humility and patience and kindness for your fellow man. Sure. What if the qualities that you can build on the map within this space of four walls and tatami, what if I can harness your human potential here, that when you walk out from the doors, you can then continue that growth into your everyday life of family, friends, community. Sure. What if here I can make a better family, town, community, nation? Sure. Yeah. I think that's mutual benefit and welfare. Yeah. And so that's what Do is. That's the way. Do? Yes. So he went from jiu-jitsu to judo, the way. Now other styles did the same thing because he realized like he's onto something, and we might be able to survive this and be able to have. In Japan, a lot of times they have Budo areas, Budokans, where it's a place of training. So the state and the country will help pay for martial arts instructors plus dojos. France does the same thing, by the way. A lot of places in Europe do it. It's a pretty good idea if you think of it more as a social aspect or socialism aspect of what could potentially help other people. Sure. Pros and cons to all this, keep in mind. Yeah. I like capitalism. But in some aspects, it does make things a little difficult if your sport's not popular. Yeah. Which we went over before. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, Aikido. Aikido Jiu-Jitsu. That's what it was called before. Master Ueshiba called it Aikido. Interesting. Okay. I have a friend who does Aikido. There we go. Well, we can talk about that in a moment. Karate was called Te, hands, Chinese hands. And then became empty hands because when they moved to Japan, they're like, oh, we should call it something else. And then karate, and they're like, I should probably call it karate do, the way of the empty hands. And then kenjutsu, sword, right? Kendo. Okay. Now you're realizing what do is.
The way.
Because they realize it's not always about making the best fighter, but it's about making the best human that you can to hopefully help your nation and your community out.
Sure. Was as far as like how everything started, was judo one of the first essentially, and then things kind of evolved from there?
The idea of do.
Okay. The idea of do was okay.
Yeah, the belts also came from judo.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because it's dans, the grades. Qs and then dan. So what we now know is Jiu-Jitsu, white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, black.
Yeah.
It's another funny story about how that gets created too. That one's quick. I can just tell you that one quick.
I have a question on that. Yeah.
All right. I'll just keep going with it. So at some point, like Jigokan and all the other people that were in the Kodokan, they're like, you know what would be helpful? Knowing who's good and who's not good.
Yeah. Right.
That guy, pretty sure he got thrown in his head. You know, it's his first day, right? They're like, what? I had no idea, right? So black belt was created.
Yeah.
White belt was created. In the beginning, black belt, the first degree, Shodan, was really there to be like, that person can go compete and not get hardly injured. They can at least fall correctly.
Yeah.
Right? Or know when it's time to tap or escape. Over time, the Q system became more and more prominent, and the Dan system became prominent, but not as, at least where we are in the US, not as prominent to show you how good you are at fighting. The Dan system, when it was first created in Japan for judo, depending what Dan you were, meant that's how much better you were at fighting.
Okay.
So a third Dan should be able to beat the Shodan, the first Dan. Right.
It's more of a skill thing.
Yeah, and now it's skill in conjunction with coaching, teaching, and giving to the rest of the world, which is still very true in Jiu-Jitsu and Judo ranking today.
Sure.
But I'm just letting you know, before the colored belts were created, the Dans were essentially the colored belts.
Sure.
Right? The question is, where did all these colored belts come from? France.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Judo in France. There's a judo instructor in France. I don't know if he was Japanese or French, but together they were like, hey, excuse me, Kodokan, I have an idea for these kids. And they're like, go on. We're listening, but we'll judge you. Can we make colorful belts? They're like, why would you do that? And they're like, it's really helpful for these kids in these Western nations that maybe aren't so like forced into this as your kids. Then they were like, good idea. It's a pretty good deal because you already have the Q system. So why not give them belts? And it wasn't that many at the time. Now at the cadet age, or even kids age for judo, you've got, everyone's slightly different, but let's just make it simple. You got like white, yellow, orange, green. What happens after green? These are usually youth belts anyways.
Sure.
Blue.
Oh, okay.
Purple, brown, black. And what is it for jiu-jitsu? Blue, purple, brown, black. And underneath the IBJJF rule sets, which is a for-profit company, and many of them own Gracie Baja. Just letting you know.
Sure.
I'm answering other questions that you might probably have later on about how these sports are different, right?
Yeah.
You have to be 16 to get a blue, and then 2 years older than that, purple, brown, black.
It's a little more by years, right?
By age, but by in the end, you're not going to have that many judo youth players who have a blue belt until they're probably close to 13, 14 anyways.
Okay, yeah.
So it all kind of evens out based on ability and skill.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yikes.
We'll take a break real quick, and then we're going to come back into it. All right,
Any
we are
testing
back.
we need to do?
What's that?
Any testing? Any sound checks?
No, I think we're good.
All right.
We get the squiggly line is making moves.
It's getting squiggles. All right.
We're picking stuff up. So we kind of left off on, or we were alluding to kind of some of the differences between Judo and Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
Let
me.
Yeah.
I'm going to preface this by saying everything I'm saying right now, I could go way deeper into. And I can also tell you, I don't have all the answers.
Sure.
And I can go over great examples of how I don't have the answer in a moment. In another question, I'll go over some of that stuff. So I will say there are people looking for answers, though. This gentleman on YouTube, Shadi. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. Sorry. He could be a good podcast person.
Okay.
He's a French judo player. I think he's an adult brown belt.
Okay.
So he's got a very different perspective about a lot of things.
Sure.
Because he's very much still engrossed in becoming a student for judo. But he has a great YouTube channel. He's got a lot of videos. And he's looking for answers. And he's found some really cool stuff along the way. I think he's in Japan right now, realizing, like, wow, judo is, like, pretty deep. Which it is. Which we know. So is jiu-jitsu. So are all these things. There's always a depth to each one that we're like, I figured it out. And then you meet someone, you're like, I didn't figure it out. I'm so off, right? And I have great awareness things from that too. But let's try to go as fast as I can. The basic differences between judo and jiu-jitsu are the rule sets and the values that are inherent in each one. The values of what people want to see in order to win. Are they changing? 100%. Everything grows and decays and changes in different ways, right? A lot of people would say, like, well, judo, like, keeps taking out really effective things like leg locks, and now you can't grab the legs. And I'm like, well, there's always a yes and.
Yeah.
Not everything's negative.
Sure.
It can be negative. All you wanted to look at is just the negative things. But
there's more.
There's more to it. Someone said to me, like, I hate it when they take out the best stuff. That's what's happening to judo. Like, it's getting watered down. I was like, well, we could bring back eye pokes.
Yikes.
Dude.
There's a lot of blind judo players walking around.
Well, we can bring back eye pokes to jiu-jitsu too, right?
Sure, yeah.
Fish hooks would be good too.
But is that in the mouth?
Yeah, in the mouth. It's very effective.
Oh, ouch.
The only reason why we have judo, jiu-jitsu, to what we know of it today, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Japanese jiu-jitsu, judo, etc., Kosen judo, whatever you want to call it, it's because Sensei Kano said, if I take away all these things that really mess up your training partner, I bet we could train really, really hard.
Yeah.
And everyone can be friends afterwards, and we still get really good.
Yeah.
That, his genius was randori, free practice.
Interesting.
Amazing stuff. The thing that we love to do so much, rolling around, choking people, armbarring people, like, it's a game, it's a sport. Yeah, thanks. That's just that's randori in a competitive situation. Now we're competing.
Yeah.
And we get to practice randori. And for people that aren't, well, that's a whole other topic. For people who aren't competitors, there's like a vast amount of benefit you would get just from going to practice.
Yeah.
Like, vast. I don't compete right now.
Yeah.
Every now and then I go, I'm still competitive. Every now and then I go, like, I'm going to go compete. And then I start teaching someone that's about to go to a competition. I'm like, oh, I forgot. Like, this gives me value too. In fact, I may like this more than competing just for myself.
Sure.
And that's kind of like,
that's
kind of where I'm at.
Sure.
So that takes up all my time.
Yeah.
The differences between judo and jiu-jitsu are the values that was placed when the sports were developed based on the rule sets. So Jigo Kano, as much as he liked all aspects of what jiu-jitsu was supposed to be, jiu-jitsu comprised of waza techniques, okay? Nage waza, kensetsu, nage waza is throwing techniques.
Okay.
Kensetsu waza, limbs of breaking.
Reiki techniques.
Breakies. Shimiwaza, strangulation.
Okay.
And katami waza, hold downs, past the legs. Those are like the major groups, all right? But if we take away the major groups that comprises of what judo and jiu-jitsu is, by the way, because I didn't just say arm bars, I said limb breaking.
Sure.
There's limb. I'm explaining jiu-jitsu as well.
Yeah.
In some fashion. The main differences is like the depth of knowledge that you need to be a master at both tachiwaza, standing techniques, and neiwaza, groundwork techniques, never mind the interim in between the two. It's a lot of information.
Sure.
In fact, before World War II, there was 2 locations of the Kodokan. There's one in Tokyo, one in Kyoto.
And remind me what the Kodokan is again?
That's the first real dojo for judo.
Okay.
For what we now consider what is judo.
Okay.
So this is probably mostly from Chadi, right? He did a lot of research on Isayo. I just forgot the Japanese gentleman's name. Sorry, everyone. Come back to me next time.
Yeah.
Right. Keep in mind, I do want to talk about Robert Drysdale, who I believe has just come out with a book.
Okay.
You might want to write that one down there.
Robert Drysdale?
Yes, he has a book, either or even a film maybe that's coming out where it goes to the history of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Gotcha.
So the Gracies have quite a strong hold on the history right now. And I think Robert goes deeper into it, seeing where the differences between the Japanese and the Brazilians really came by. And it was probably the advent of certain rules in the 90s, et cetera, et cetera. I'll let those guys talk about it, right? For now, I'll jump in later. But it sounds like in Kyoto, they worked immensely on mat work. And if you can find the videos online on YouTube, if you're able to like hit the search bar correctly, you're going to see them drilling and performing moves and demonstrating for film. And you go, wow, that looks eerily familiar to today's modern jiu-jitsu. It's like De La Riva guard, sweeping, Tomonaga sweep, Sumigeshis, passing the guard, dive through knee cuts. You're like, okay, interesting, right? And then you had Tokyo that focused a lot more on Nagiwaza, on Tachiwaza, on the standing throws. So it was fun for them to compete against each other. It's like, who's going to win, the better mat work guy today or the better thrower? And their rule sets were based upon where both sides could potentially get some wins.
Sure.
You know, who knows how many slams it took in every tournament. Maybe it took 2 or 3 slams to win a judo tournament. Maybe it was just one. So rules always change things. But Jigoro Kano was like, be careful making judo into too much of a sport. He never really wanted it to be an Olympic sport, but he wanted the Olympics in Japan. He thought it could prevent World War II.
Okay.
Wild guy, right?
Yeah.
He tried to convince the people in Europe. It didn't work out, and he died on the voyage back to Japan on the boat.
Wow.
Took a long time. Boat to Europe.
Yeah.
Not a short trip.
No.
Panama Canal. I don't know if they were able to use it at that time.
Yeah.
We'll see. Jigoro Kano was like, you have to remember that this, as much as this is a fun sport, and like pulling guard, hikomi, all that stuff is a great way to win these matches. It's not great for self-defense. Just pulling guard.
Sure.
Self-defense against multiple opponents. So you always believe, like, if you have better standing work, you can fight multiple opponents in self-defense scenarios.
Right.
More so than on your back or on top of someone.
It's like in the action movies, the hero's always on their feet beating up 20 guys. He's not on the ground.
It's very hard to fight 20 people on your back. It's just hard to do that.
Sure.
It's hard enough on your feet. There's a multiplier issue. You know, you had one person, like, not so good. You had 2 people, you're like, wow, we might not get out of this. 3 people, you're like, oh my gosh. So throwing, or at least tachiwaza, standing work, nagiwaza throwing, tachiwaza standing. Jigoro Kano was always like, always was trying to remind people, like, please remember that this is still a self-defense, still a martial art, and you have to be very careful making it more about winning.
Sure.
You'd be amazed what people do to win.
Yeah.
Okay. So the rule sets are still, like, big throws are still a major way to win in judo. Sometimes 60-40, right? 60% throwing, 40% mat work. Sometimes it's 70, sometimes it's 30, whatever. It would not be uncommon to go to a judo gym in the United States and be like, oh, they've got some great standing capabilities. Maybe some of them still shoot on legs and all that stuff, okay? But their mat work, some of their best guys might be merely blue belts on the mat. Okay. How much time do you have?
Yeah, right.
Right? If you're only going to come to judo practice or jiu-jitsu practice for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, 2-3 times a week at recreational.
Yeah.
I don't like saying recreational, but I would prefer to say lifestyle.
Lifestyle, yeah.
Martial artists, how much time do you have? And if you're trying to learn judo as a person in their 20s, how much time does it take me to teach you how to fall correctly? How to fall to every angle of like 80 plus throws? How to be aware that there's 80 plus ways to throw from 80 different throws, a different. Now, what about from a taller person, a shorter person, a heavy person? There's so many dynamics that are so vast and important in tachiwaza. I haven't even begun to talk about mat work.
Yeah. Right.
Does that make sense?
Like, okay, this is the most important. We got to focus on this first and more often. Yeah.
Now, inherently, because judo matches, all matches start on their feet, but judo matches primarily will stand you up. If you're not doing anything for mat work, they'll stand you up. So you're back on your feet, you're back to grabbing, and they value full offense all the time. You get penalized if you're defensive. You get penalized if you're running away. You get penalized if you're not attacking enough. You get penalized if you're tired. Like, there's so many things to get penalized for not all-out offense.
Sure.
And the very nature of throwing someone is inherently more dangerous than doing mat work.
Yeah.
You get falling body weight.
Yeah.
So when I coach judo, I am like not always very nice.
Yeah, sure.
Especially to my adults.
Yeah.
Because if you don't listen to me,
You get hurt.
I do it my own way. I'm like, well, your own way is going to blow your knee out.
Yeah.
Or someone else's knee out. I can't have that happen. And I refuse to let it happen.
Sure.
I'm like a dictator when it comes to judo.
Yeah.
Jiu-Jitsu, I'm far more open and calm when I coach it. Because inherently, just by the nature of positional, at least for the sport jiu-jitsu that we're doing today, for what we would consider Brazilian jiu-jitsu, right? Or mat work for judo, whatever you like to call it. Right? Yeah. There's a floor. Your butt or back is on the floor, typically if you're the bottom player. And the other person could be knees, one knee up, one knee down, or standing. Those are the primary positions of being in mat work. If at any time the bottom person gets up on two knees or onto 2 feet, you're no longer in mat work. You're in standing work.
Yeah.
But based on the rule sets of jiu-jitsu, where the takedown is only worth 2 points as opposed to a whole win, maybe not everyone needs to focus on being great takedown artists. Maybe they can just pull guard and just perform crazy well right from there. There's no stalling in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Especially
in the gi. And if I can get a bunch of grips and drag you down, drag your head below your hips, I can start sweeping you back and forth, create kazushi. Kazushi is degradation of balance back and forth. And I can start making you move. I get my submissions off my back. I can sweep you down on top. It's amazing.
Yeah. But
due to the nature of the positional situation for mat work, for newaza, for what we most time when we think of jiu-jitsu is mat work, right? In today's modern version, it is inherently safer because it's inherently slower. The whole concept of judo and jiu-jitsu is to negate the danger of explosive mayhem happening to you. Okay, John Donner has a beautiful metaphor or explanation of like what's one of the most athletic things that you see. It's someone throwing a javelin, right? Okay, and they run. They got the javelin out.
I just saw a javelin video the other day. That's weird. I'm like, wow, that was incredible.
It's incredible,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How many yards did that javelin go, do you think?
I couldn't even guess. I have no idea. Went
5,
far.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Like crazy.
Yeah.
Running, comes back, crazy second, just launches that.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, okay, that is an athletic feat.
Yeah.
Okay, what if you come down to his knees?
It's much harder.
Do you think he'd throw anywhere close to as far?
Negative.
Okay. That's John Donner's way of explaining it. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Sometimes for the kids, they don't know what a javelin is. So I say, like, who here plays dodgeball or baseball? Yeah. You're like, do you run around and throw the ball? They're like, yeah. Do you think you throw it really hard? Like, yeah. What if I made you throw it from your knees? They're like, no, I can't throw it very hard. I was like, welcome to judo and jiu-jitsu, kids.
There you go.
So take the javelin out of someone's hand, take the ball out of someone's hand. Now it's a fist. Yeah. Or it's a kick. So if I'm standing in front of you, even if I have black belt in karate, let's say, and no kickboxing, boxing, and Muay Thai and all that stuff, if I'm looking one way, and I turn this way, and you crack me in the jaw when I barely have time to see it, I'm probably going to go down. Yeah. Unless I granite chin. Right? And even still, I didn't see it. You could still catch me. Yeah. But if I grabbed you and put you at least down to 2 knees, and you punch me then, it's going to be way less problems for me if you were standing up, hitting me in a standing position. Oh, totally. Yeah. And if I can put you on your back, your chances of hitting, other than an up kick, which is always the issue about legs, right? When we can go over sport of jiu-jitsu and sport of MMA and how things change when you allow up kicks to a down opponent or not. Oh, yeah. We can go over that another time. That's too much talking. My objective is always pass legs in that work because, one, legs are dangerous. They're crazy strong. You can run up stairs and up mountains, right? Yeah. So they're way stronger than my upper body. Yeah. So I can learn how to use my legs to hit submissions. But if I just kick you in the face, I'm going to have the extreme ability to knock you out, cause extreme damage. Yeah. So all the time, my whole objective, if I need to defeat you or hold you down, is to pass your evil legs. Right? Yeah. And then I have a hold down position where I can have either a series of pins or hold downs where I have a better advantage point for striking, which is the essence of the rule sets of jiu-jitsu. Yeah, yeah. So the rule sets of jiu-jitsu was you got 2 points for the takedown. I think maybe it was only worth 2 points because maybe not everyone had great takedowns and they were just like, we want to really work on mat work. I'm just going to go to the ground anyways.
Yeah, you always see those videos of sometimes people just like, they just sit down immediately.
Sit down immediately because they want to win the sport. They want to win. They want to have the medal, get the photo.
Yeah.
They want to win. Which is always the
sure.
And it's a sport.
Yeah.
Right? And that was always the fear of Jigger O'Connell for judo, was like, I don't need people sitting down every tournament. Because I'm sure that was happening in the early 1900s. Yeah. I'm sure people are like, I'm winning. I'm going to sit down. And it's like, yeah, guys, but like, there's an issue with that. Like, that's not going to be helpful for like further athleticism down the road if you're a kid, et cetera, et cetera. Judo had only 3 weight classes. It might have been even open way back in the day. Yikes. But even like at Olympic level judo for like the longest time, from like 1964 and up, it was like lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight.
Okay.
What the heck? Do you know how much weight was in between each weight class? It was absurd.
Must have been like 30, 40 pounds.
At minimum, right? And then what happens, they still kind of do it at a certain weight class at over 100 kilos. Yeah. It's just open.
It's just whatever.
And the females,
that's only
even wilder.
220 pounds.
Yeah.
So it's someone 220 versus someone 275.
Or 330, 350. Yeah. Get going. Yeah. The women are even more wild. I think it's above 78.
Yikes. What is that? Like 185 or something like that?
Open.
Yikes.
Whoa. Like, I mean, bizarre land, right? Someone's got to check me on the weight classes for judo and kilograms, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm sorry if I'm off on the 78, above 78 kilos or 78 kilos and there's over 70 kilos. I'm not sure. Maybe there's another one finally for females. I don't know. Yeah. Some of those females are way above 78 kilos.
Sure.
Like, good luck.
They take that plus to heart.
Yeah. So in jiu-jitsu, like the point system went from like, the takedown is 2, passing of the guard, which everyone thinks you get points for side mount, but that's just the most common place to land after passing guard.
Sure.
That's a certain point system, and every tournament gives different points. Maybe IBJJF gives 2 for the pass, or maybe it's like 3 plus the hold down. Knee on belly is like an additional 3, mounts 4, back mounts 4 or 5. It just depends on the tournaments, right? Yeah. People are like probably could get really mad, like, how do you not know the points? I'm like, students go to tons of different tournaments.
Yeah. It's a lot of different rules out there.
And a lot of them don't go to the IBJJF tournaments yet because they're usually expensive, they're far away, and I'm sorry, I don't have that many competitive athletes that are dying to go to the IBJJF tournaments. Yeah. They're just not here yet. But if something arrives in Rhode Island, it's down the street, they'll go right there. Tap Cancer Out, it's a great example of that. The Naga tournaments are still popular. People do that. Grapplers Quest, all these things. So I'm sure one day when someone decides, like, this is what we're doing, I'll be on the road. Yeah. And now my question is, like, are my students going to go to IBJJF tournaments, or are they going to want to go to ADCC trials? Yeah. Well, if I'm teaching them judo and wrestling from a young age, plus jiu-jitsu, I have no idea anymore. So I just let it go.
There's too many different ways you can go about it.
So each subsequent hold down that you were supposed to get pins for, passes, are places where you have a better advantage to strike from. So they thought side mount, due to the pass, you have a better ability to strike because you pass the legs. Okay. One could argue hitting from half guard is great, but you don't get any points for half guard. Okay. Knee on belly. Yep. Better place to punch.
Very offensive position. Yeah.
Really good. Back mount.
Good choking.
Super good.
Yeah.
Well, you can't punch me. I'm on your back. I bottom you out, 2 hooks in. Yeah. Your chest is on the ground. Your head's up. I can choke, but I can also just hit you behind the head with my elbows. Yeah. So this is based upon still self-defense. Sure. On one-on-one fighting. Yeah. So those are the major point systems and why they were created. Judo has their point systems based on winning, but potentially more geared towards understanding that due to multiple opponent situations, maybe the throw matters more. Sure. Maybe. Yeah. Right. In today's situation, for like, what do I prefer to teach adults? If you're a beginner adult, I would almost always plead and implore you to start with jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And the question is, why? Do I love jiu-jitsu more? No. Do I love judo more? No. I love all the martial arts. I have a whole affection for X amount of them, right? Jiu-jitsu are like 4 of us, I believe. Sure. But I prefer to have, this is going to go right into some questions that you might have, because you're very into physical fitness and preparedness, right? If the primary positions in today's sport-oriented jiu-jitsu is with a floor, a person in the bottom position, a person in the top position. And the primary support position for judo is 2 people standing. Why is it that I would choose for today's average male and female, why would I choose to have them go into my fundamental jiu-jitsu class as opposed to my fundamental judo class?
As an adult?
Yes.
I mean, the thing that I always thought, maybe wrong, but there's just less of an injury risk because if you're throwing, you have to know how to fall.
Mm-hmm.
You're a bigger person.
Mm-hmm.
Your bones aren't as flexible.
Mm-hmm. Yes, injury rate. That's one of the primary reasons. Injury rate and the fear of falling.
Sure.
Is innate in most adults. So every time I ask you to do something in judo, I'm aware I'm asking you to do something your brain's screaming at you subconsciously. Don't listen to that crazy person. They're out of their freaking minds.
Yeah.
You might be right. But if I teach you how to do a forward roll, it could take some people months.
Yeah.
Due to the innate subconscious, sometimes it's conscious.
Sure.
Of like, don't fall down.
Yeah.
Don't fall down forward and don't land on your head. Now I'm asking you to not just fall and accept falling, but now turn over your shoulder area and head.
Sure. Fall almost directly on your head.
Think about it.
Yeah.
That is a tall ask for any adult.
Sure.
Very tall.
Yeah.
Okay. That's on your own volition.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to say, don't worry, this other person is going to do it to you in a much more potentially violent manner.
I'm going to throw you into this position.
I'm going to throw you into that position. So bad. That could take years. And I have had years of people, and I'll explain how I rank up for that up to a certain point.
Yeah.
Okay, so safety, that's one. But there's another major one.
Well, thinking back, I guess, to my first classes, it was all about hitting the fundamentals as far as positions.
Yeah, you're excellent.
Bridge, shrimp, headlock escapes, hip heist.
Yes.
So is it easier to learn on the floor, I guess?
Potentially.
For the fundamentals?
Yes, potentially. But
Okay.
there's a reason for it.
Maybe you get more like sensory feedback from the ground.
You 100% get more sensory feedback. Yep, that's a huge part. Now, what do you think of each position?
So bridge your face up toward the ceiling.
What else are you doing though for the bridge?
You are pressing against the floor asymmetrically through your hips.
Just your hips.
Hips and shoulder and feet.
It creates the torque.
I guess I would say feet would be generates the force.
Force, but what about torque?
So torque would be the rotation to the hips.
Yes, and therefore you can't just have the hips.
They're for the rest of the body, the shoulders,
the spine.
The spine, yeah. Okay.
Why is this so important in today's world? You start with bridging from a bottom position, more tactile feedback from the floor. I'm asking you now to do a glute ham raise.
Okay.
And then I'm asking you to open up your hips. And through an extension, to go and bridge and move your spine while twisting it. Now you got your lumbar, your thoracic, and your cervical. Most people can't move their freaking spine.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
They're sitting at a computer all day. They're sitting in an office. Their glutes are off.
Yeah.
Their hip flexors are crazy tight.
They
can't even rotate. Their obliques don't even know how to turn on. Never mind their lats.
Yeah.
The rhomboids are taking everything. The trapezius think that's what the pulling muscle is. Trapezius wants to take over everything. As a fitness person, as a physical therapist, a PhD, you understand exactly what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, Brett, I didn't know that's what you're really doing. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Interesting.
I'm creating bodyweight positions that forces you to become intrinsically stronger over X amount of time on your own timeline.
Gotcha. You're like, okay, you want to do Jiu Jitsu. This is how you move first.
How you move.
As a human being.
And I know that your limitations for movement are a direct correlation with your limitations for all movements.
Sure. Yeah.
So if I can disguise my functional movement screen as simply bridging,
Yeah.
rising shrimps, a back heist, and then potentially inverting or rolling,
Yeah.
or moving away and moving feet in front of shoulders,
Sure.
I get to see where you're hurt.
Yeah. Where you need work on.
I get to see ahead of time what's going on. And I never have to tell you that you might have something going on.
Sure.
I don't have to make you nervous. I don't have to make you subsequently start thinking that you're incapable of doing something.
Right. I'm broken. I'm injured.
You may be broken or injured.
Yeah.
But I know if I can make you do those movements over and over,
Yeah.
you'll be less broken and injured. Far
Sure.
less so. Now, what if I told you to do that for a year?
Be much better at it.
Be way better at it.
Yeah.
And now I can start adding weight onto you. That's a human on top of you, right? I can
Right.
put weight on top of you in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You could fail, but it's okay. The failures, you just don't get out. Like, it's okay. It's not like a broken failure.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing when I teach judo. I teach I have a step-by-step approach. It's online. I have videos.
Yeah.
I should have put it out to the world. I haven't done it
Yeah.
yet. I actually have a crazy amount of information for like beginner judo,
Gotcha. Yeah.
which is the development of just not just falling techniques, but the development of becoming an uke, someone who can receive throws.
Also very important.
Everyone has videos about how you do throws to people.
Yeah.
You need a partner that knows how to move in order to
Yeah.
take a fall correctly without getting hurt, who still wants to be there the next day to help you learn those throws.
Yeah.
So as an adult judo player, for a beginner adult, everything is about A, limiting pain, B, opening up your mobility and capability, which means increasing strength in these positions, which are almost like plank positions. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or a squat position based on PRI ideas.
Sure. Yeah.
Postural Restoration Institute for all those people that need to look that up.
Yeah.
Okay. If for judo, I have to teach you the same approach for a functional movement screen, FMS, and I do that for break falls.
Okay.
Can you tuck your chin? Can you go into a pike position?
Right.
That essentially is all of judo. It's that pike position and bridging.
Gotcha. Okay.
Entering throws, lifting for throws is a bridge position with an asymmetrical leg. Thanks, John Donaher.
Yeah.
John Donaher, shout out. I watched your video, and I learned bridging a little bit from Henry Akins once upon a time. Henry doesn't even remember me. He was at a seminar of some sort, right? But I was watching Don Donaher's pin escapes, and I was like, I don't have an asymmetrical knee. Oh my God. I don't have an asymmetrical knee. And I thought to myself, that's so good and so bad at the same time. Bad news is I don't know how to bridge. Good news is that means my jiu-jitsu gets way better and my judo gets way better.
Yeah.
If I learn how to bridge.
Sure.
Like, drastically.
Sure.
The next bad news is if my bridge is off, which is the most fundamental thing you could probably do for mat work.
Yeah.
I realized
You gotta rebuild the pyramid.
nothing is right. My arm bars aren't right.
Yeah.
My triangles aren't right. My omoplatas aren't right. My kimuras aren't right.
Yeah.
My shrimp can't be right. There's no
Sure,
way. If my
yeah.
bridge is off, my shrimp's off. But if my shrimp's off, then nothing's right. My hold downs aren't right. Now take it off the floor.
Yeah.
Then none of my throws are right.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Got a black belt in judo from one of the top clubs in the country, and apparently I don't know judo. Because my bridge is wrong.
Yeah.
And then later on, I realized throws are bridges. The load is bridging. I'll have to make a video of that. That's like golden goose right there.
Yeah.
If you manage to watch this podcast at number 42 or 43, and this arrives years later, just know you could have seen it sooner, and you could have known judo and jiu-jitsu far easier, far faster.
That was one of the first things you harped on for me when I was in working with you. Was like bridging. Make sure it's asymmetrical. Make sure you're doing it properly. And like I think I'm doing it. You're like you do think you're doing it, but this is how you actually do it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
That's why I'm so adamant, and I'm so like unenjoyable to be with probably in the beginning. I'm just unenjoyable.
Sure.
The process is not quite enjoyable. People are like, I came to learn how to choke. I'm like, oh, that's a good story.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I can't wait until I can tell you when to choke.
Yeah.
People get really frustrated. Many of my adult male students in their 20s, 30s, 40s, they're like rolling their eyes. They're tired of doing it. They don't know why they're doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, This class is the fundamental class, and in the fundamental class, you will learn the fundamental movements to escape pins, and then you will learn how to escape pins. And they're like, okay, I'm going to go on YouTube and look up the moves I want to do. And I'll cheat the system. I'll go to your open mat, and I'll go live, even though I'm not supposed to. So in the class, you're supposed to. I know all these things. I watch it. It's my schools, right? So the objective of mine, I'll say two things about the objective, okay? You were supposed to get 2 stripes before you can go into the more advanced class, right? Which is the class afterwards that seems to never end. So if you get there, set a timer, leave when you can. So right now I only have it 2 days a week for Jiu-Jitsu, Monday, Wednesday. Now you go to the Middletown location and get more. Right? Yeah. Guess what? It's still the same.
It's still the same.
Gotta get out of the fundamentals class.
Yep.
Okay? 2 stripes. You can never return the fundamental class if you don't want to. Be a fool to skip it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Saturday open mat. Everyone looks to see if I'm looking, and I just start going live with people. I let it go because you have to give somebody something. Where they feel like at least I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Is it the best for your growth? No, but you'll find that out later. Matt, what was the test? Do you remember the test?
The test was, can I escape from mount, side control, from a blue belt or a higher belt?
Higher belt, yeah.
I think it was just mount and side control, yeah.
That's it. I know.
Yeah. And can I do the fundamental movements?
Can you do the fundamental movements? Did you fail your first test?
No, I think I passed.
Did you see anyone else fail it?
Yes. Yes. Many times.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's 5 movements, 5 major movements, right? And a lot of this you get right from John Donaher's DVD Pin Escapes.
Sure.
I'll have some of that stuff up at some point in my own curriculum online for a lot of my students.
Yeah.
But I got to give most credit to John Donaher for having the time wherewithal to put down this into video, because he could have skipped it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? He could have been like, everyone knows how to do this, so let's just move on. But he didn't.
Yeah.
Right? And so I was very, very thankful that he did this. The ones that I judge people on at the moment, a proper bridge, asymmetrical bridging, a rising shrimp, not a sliding shrimp. Both very difficult positions to understand, the concept of chin up, chin down.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
So the rising shrimp, no, I didn't know that. The sliding shrimp, it would be like you're going across the mat doing it.
Sure.
And rising, you're actually not moving from in place.
You typically move in place with the hips coming up.
Yeah.
If there's a relationship, you'd be into this because you have a PhD in this, right? When I bridge, in order to open, this is so important for submitting people and throwing people as well, by the way. In order to bridge effectively, I have to look up and away.
Sure. I
should move my head off the center line. Many times if I'm bridging really well, my nose is almost on the mat. If I want to shrimp, my hips coming back, I tuck my chin.
Okay.
And then now my hips can come back. If you don't do those, you don't have a good bridge, and you won't have a good rising shrimp, and you'll be stuck. If you want to lift someone straight up in the air, your chin needs to come up.
Yeah.
If your chin comes down because you're looking at someone's feet because you're afraid of them taking you down, guess what you can't do?
Lift them up.
Can't do it. Your hips are back.
Gotcha. Is that kind of along the lines of the body goes where the nose goes, essentially? Like wherever you're looking, you're going to go in that direction? Gotcha.
It's not too different from lifting a weight.
Yeah.
Even though you're going straight up and down on a plane.
Yeah.
You still don't want to tuck your chin as you
look down as you
deadlift or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not going to go so well for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So the test, you watch people fail on the test. The test was bridge, rising shrimp, back heist. There's a turtle escape number 1, essentially like a front headlock escape where you just have to move your head along the floor, get your feet in the way. Okay, very helpful. The other one is there's someone on your side and you're kind of inverting around them with your legs. So you're rolling on a shoulder, inverting slightly. So that way when your feet are near their feet, you roll a little bit and your feet go close to their heads back. Okay. You saw people fail and you realize the test does not have wiggle room. If it's wrong, I fail you. And most people do this, like, I did it. I'm like, you sure did, buddy. You failed, but you did do it. And you saw their faces. Their faces were like, they were like rudely awakened that this was not good enough.
Sure.
And in most cases in their life, in today's maybe even teaching world, potentially at school stuff, good enough is enough to get past.
Mm-hmm.
And I say no.
Yeah. Do it correctly.
Or you don't
pass.
Yeah. You want to quit? The door's over there. I don't mind.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Right.
I care about you. I don't care if you mentally can't get over the fact that you don't do something right. You have to figure that out on your own.
These aren't participation trophies.
Yeah,
this shows an
legit.
accomplishment. Yeah.
I do this because I care about you and the growth of a student. So you get. The other thing is everyone's watching the test.
Yeah.
So the whole
it's nerve-wracking.
Is watching you perform. You say, I'm ready to test. And it's like, great. Well, we're all ready to watch you
Let's
test.
see it.
We're here to go.
Yeah.
You fail the first test. I still let you do the second test, even if you fail the first test.
Yeah.
There's got to be a reason for it, right?
Yeah.
I know that if you don't do the movements correctly, you're not getting out anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not listening.
I know.
You're not being receptive. So the first lesson is when I tell you to do something, it'd be advisable to be receptive and try your best to do it absolutely as correctly as you can.
Yeah.
Because everything I teach in the beginning, it's going to be so crucial for your pathway to black belt. Never mind blue belt.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? And the second one is, most people fail the second test. Did you fail the second test?
I think I was pretty lucky that day where the class we did, we had really hammered in a specific escape, and the person that got on me, I just immediately went right into the exact escape we did, and I got out within probably 10 seconds.
Yes, that's supposed to happen. If you do the right thing, you could be out in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And people are like, they did it.
And then
what can we do?
And then the second one, so I think we had practiced, let's just say we had practiced an escape from side mount for our first one. That was my first test.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, all right, now mount. And I'm like, well, I practiced this 3 or 4 weeks ago, so let's see if I got it. And it was tough. I remember this vividly, and I remember watching other people doing it too, where I think Kevin was on top of me, which also sucks.
Yeah, that's not good.
And I was trying to get out, and he was just putting all of his weight on me, and I was starting to scramble a little bit, which I saw other people doing, where they're just their mind just shuts off.
Yeah,
and just
shuts off.
Scramble mode,
freak out.
Freak out. And then I hear people yelling
yes, this is it. This is good.
bridge, do this, get your knee to elbow, shrimp out, and I was starting okay, get back to fundamentals, do what I need to do, just trust the system, and it definitely wasn't easy, but I was able to get out, and I did it the proper way on how to get out. I didn't just freak out and get out. I had to do it. I think Kevin made sure of that. He's
everyone's going to make sure of it. That's the only way out.
Yeah.
So wonderful recall on that, and it's so great as an instructor to hear how it was for you, because I'm yes, it's working. This is what I'm doing. Okay, so the rules are for getting out of the pins, no submissions are allowed.
Mm-hmm.
They just and they can't just switch to a ton of other pins. They have to just stay there.
Sure,
right?
sure.
But most people will just start thrashing around.
Yeah,
and that's not going to work. Now I get someone that's good on top. There you stay, and then you're going to burn all your energy.
And then it's be much harder.
And then you're going to look at the time, and you have 30 seconds, and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't move. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, I failed. I was like, right, that pin. You still have to do the other pin. I don't care if you fail the first one. The test, you don't finish the test until the test is done.
Yeah.
And now you're exhausted trying to get out of mount or side mount and someone else and a different partner, and it's still going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
If you're thrashed around, you didn't do the technique.
Yeah.
You learn very quickly, this is not going to work.
Right.
So what you said next was, when you're able to start hearing other people, you can actually hear their feedback.
Yeah.
And then you realize there's a whole team of people
cheering for you.
Or not judging you.
Yeah.
But cheering for you.
Yeah.
You realize the team is here for your benefit.
Yeah.
We are here for you. This is not an independent sport, even though it's an independent competition.
Yeah.
And if you can hear people's voices and follow it, you're probably going to get out.
Yeah.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so
They're telling
crucial.
you what to do.
They are telling and advising you to their best ability.
Yeah.
And I let anyone chip in. White belts that have passed, blue belts, purple, brown, black. People are allowed to help you for that whole 60 seconds that you're in those pins.
Right.
And if you have the wherewithal and the ability under high stress to hear people's voices and hear that they're looking for your best interest, if you can hear them and follow their direction, you are probably going to get out.
initially it's tough to even hear them just because the adrenaline, the noise.
Pumping, the noise. It's just so hard. Sometimes I play a little bit of music to really get people going, right? And so when you fail, which you didn't, because you watch people and you learn, like, whoa, they're interesting. Plus, you have a different personality type. You might be open to feedback and criticism and listening.
And I opened your website and I practiced the moves.
Yeah, well, there you go. I try. I do my best,
Everyone kept telling me that.
I want people to pass.
Yeah.
I want them to pass. If you can pass in like a week and a half, 2 weeks, I'm like, congratulations, 2 stripes.
I feel like
it's okay with me. I don't need you there for 6 months.
It took me a while. I think it.
Yes, it did.
But I also didn't say I was ready for a while.
That's correct.
Yeah, I think it probably took me maybe like 2 months.
Yes.
Going like once or twice a week.
100%. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's actually the normal timetable.
Yeah.
That's the most normative. Okay. So I get so excited about this test because I just think it's been so helpful for our culture to build a positive culture. Most men will fail once, sometimes twice. I try not to let it happen a third time. You're in there a third time and you fail, I turn off the timer and I say, class doesn't start until we finish the test and you're successful.
Wow.
Those are the brutal ones, right?
Yeah.
But you got to get to the positivity somehow, right? So when people fail for the first time, they're tired, they're disappointed, they're confused even.
Yeah.
They don't get it. They're like, I totally thought I could get out.
Yeah.
I did my own thing. I did what I thought I could do. I mean, I thought Brett was teaching the stuff that's boring, so I just skipped it.
Yeah.
Or Kevin, whoever's teaching that day. And then when they go to walk off, I go, oh no, the test isn't done. You failed it. And they go, huh? I'm like, now each person here tells you what they witnessed.
Yeah.
And see how you can improve.
Yeah.
And now you are forced, after just failing, to know that we expected you to fail. 2, it's okay. 3, it's not okay not to fix it.
Right.
And we're all here to help you fix it. So each person is probably going to go over step by step how to fix it. And now in front of everyone that you thought you failed in front of, you'd have to receive feedback. And you have to change a lot in that short amount of time. Because now in front of everyone's showing you how to help it. And they're looking right at you and they're going over it because they care so much you get it right. They want you to win. And you have to figure it out really fast that you got to hurry up, fail fast, and get over it real fast.
Yeah, I think going back to what you said about especially how martial arts are probably very important for big picture society, especially for young males at this time and I don't know, this time in general.
Yeah. Maybe all times.
Yeah. I feel like especially I remember watching someone recently who failed twice, back week to weeks, and his mom was there, and they're like, oh, so excited to get him a belt.
Yeah,
Aiden.
That's right. Yes,
you're just sorry, man, you failed again. And it's it's almost I'm not I don't know him in particular, but it's almost maybe someone in that situation has never experienced that life situation before. Or maybe it's the first time. It's hey, you failed. This is what you need to do to fix it.
Yes.
And it's a huge learning experience. I feel like
it's not just that. They've never had someone care so much that they get it done.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable, by the way.
Oh, super uncomfortable. Look, the whole thing seems super uncomfortable. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Just pass him.
Yeah. Someone passed me.
He's good enough.
He's sad. He said he's going to start crying. The mom's watching.
Yeah.
And I said no.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable for me either.
Totally.
Now my politeness scale is really low, so I'm happy to say the most truthful things, even if you probably hate me for a little while.
Yeah.
But my compassion is off the charts.
Yeah.
So I don't enjoy it either.
Yeah.
It looks like I enjoy it because I do it all the time. I go home, I'm I can't
to
sleep. I got guilt, and I made some kid upset.
Right.
But I'm but it's because it's coming from a place of love and understanding.
Yeah.
Everything I do is try to explain that I'm coming from love and understanding. My job, my vow, my oath, which we'll go over.
Yeah.
In a little bit, I hope I don't start crying on it. Is to improve all my students.
Yeah.
And I also know that in order to improve my students the best I can, I have to not hate you.
Sure.
I have to make sure you do so little to piss me off that I don't subconsciously sabotage your learning.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. It's so important to know that my weakness as a coach directly correlates with my weakness as a human. And as a human, my brain is more complicated than I'm ever going to really truly figure out. Like, I don't have full mastery over myself. My room's a disaster right now. Like, I can't even clean my own room, right?
Hey, that's a sign of genius, isn't it? Maybe I heard that on the internet. I don't know.
So. Yeah. But you can only geniuses don't make a lot of money unless they can organize stuff.
At least that's what I tell Liz, my fiance.
So, what I'm saying is, I know that a lot of my... Notice I haven't said a lot of my female students because I have outliers that come in as typically as females at the current moment, both youth and adult age female athletes. I'll say this very quickly. My outliers of men that I get, I'll do kids first. It's a little easier. My outliers of kids are parents come in, my son's getting bullied at school. He's very quiet and he's very timid. He doesn't like to talk to anyone. Other side, my kid's about to get kicked out of the classroom. He's too wild. The teacher's telling me he has ADD and all this stuff. Like, we got to get him to control himself.
Yeah.
Those outliers are my bell curve in the gym. That's my median.
Okay.
Every now and then, I'll have a dad that goes, yeah, we do judo in this house. My kids will do judo. We know you have a great program. Here's my child.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not my normative curve.
Right,
it might become more normative if things get more popular.
Yeah.
But for my boys, that's typically it. My normative curve for young female athletes, youth athletes. My daughter's trying every sport. She's really athletic, but she hates all the ball sports. My daughter's really athletic. She doesn't want to try any other sports. But I can't have her not be doing something.
Yeah.
Those are my outliers.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that come in.
Yeah. Right.
Pretty easy to develop those female athletes, right?
Yeah.
They're already killers.
Yeah. They already have a baseline.
I'm like, it's okay. Just give me a moment. Like, your daughter's going to be fine. They're like, really? Are you sure? I was like, yeah, watch this. Hi, young lady. How are you? Usually like, hi. Or they're like, don't want to talk to me.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. It's fine. It doesn't matter to me. I go, see that boy over there? They're like, yep. I go, you want me to teach you how to throw them on their head? And they go, yes. What? No, excuse me? I can do that to him? He's already kind of annoying me just because he's walking. Like, that's right. I can do that. So
just the way he looks.
that's what I get. I get that from the my youth athletes. So I know the female athletes are going to be fine.
Yeah.
But that's just my bell curve right now.
Sure.
Right? That's just what I have. Maybe it'll change over time. But that's typically get with our cultural manifestations of what it is for gender roles currently within where we're at in the Northeast. Okay,
cool.
My female adult athletes, there could be multiple reasons why they're coming in. Most people coming in for martial arts are looking for confidence and are lacking a feeling that they are strong within themselves in some fashion. And I can't tell people this, but this is many times what happens, I want to get in shape. I want to get stronger. I want to do something that's fun. And I'm like, well, martial arts can be fun. I wouldn't consider it always fun.
Yeah.
It's rewarding.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider it always fun. I want to get in shape. I'm like, pair of sneakers, way cheaper.
Yeah.
Way easier, by the way. Go run.
Go running. Yeah. It's free.
It's free. Get going. Do some push-ups.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to get stronger. I'm like, get some weights.
Yeah.
There's all these things. But the idea about martial arts is that, and I potentially like to do Jiu-Jitsu more than other martial arts because it gives you the avenue and the ability to find yourself by yourself through the aspects of a team and individual environment all in one. Maybe who you become on the mat through becoming stronger physically, maybe your mental fortitude and strength and your spiritual strength can catch up to your body. And that essentially is a manifestation, I think, of why most people keep coming back.
Sure.
I can go way deeper on that, but I'm still on female athletes, so I bring that up. Because the female athletes that typically come in their adult age are probably battling something just like my male athletes are.
Sure.
100%.
Yeah.
That's typically what I'm getting. Even the ones like, I used to wrestle or I watched this on TV. I'm well, there could be another reason, right? You never know. My female athletes come in, they never question that they might not know anything about defending themselves. So they're always listening. Anything I tell them, they're eating it like a sponge. Like, yep, whatever you say. Yeah. I'm like, do you think you know how to do it? They go, nope. Can you say it again? I'm like, I'll do it again. And many of them are kinesthetic learners anyway, so they got to do it through doing. Yeah. Easy peasy. most of my men, yeah, I know how to do this. I got it. Oh, you got it. Yeah. I just want to like, you know, this is just helpful. Like, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Every guy seems to have this conception that
he knows what he's doing.
Something goes down on the street, or some guy picks a fight with him on the street. They're like, yeah, but like if I get angry enough, I got it. I know I'm fine.
Yeah.
I know how to throw a punch. And then you realize very quickly you don't know anything. Yeah. And that's usually the factor that starts making you way less annoying for me to deal with. Okay. The first test is listen to what I tell you to do. And if you're wrong by a little bit, you're going to fail. Mm-hmm. So listen to what I tell you to do. It's really important. Right. Okay. The next one is slow down. Mm-hmm. You don't know how to get out. You must follow directions. Yeah. And you must be open to the experience of being receptive to others on your own team, that we're here to help you, not to hurt you. Sure. You need to become more open, better at inviting information, and better at letting other people help you, which means your mannerisms and your vocabulary probably needs to change. Sure. Yeah. I like that. Okay. So if I get you to that level, I know that in 2 or 3 months, even if you pissed me off by being rude to me and you didn't know it, I know that in 2 or 3 months, I'm going to like you way more when you first came in, and I can tolerate you. Yeah. And I know that over time, because of that one experience, I'm going to like you even more. Yeah. Maybe I'll give you a 3rd stripe because you're progressing so well. Yeah. I'll probably give you a 4th stripe when you progress really well. And I'm probably only going to give you blue belt once I can stand you. In fact, I probably can't give you blue belt unless I actually like you. Yeah. Yeah. Because if I don't like you, I can't give you more information. Yeah. Yeah. Something within me will withhold helping you. Sure. Because I'll avoid you. Sure. I don't mean to do it. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't have full control of that. It's subconscious. Yeah. Yeah. Right? Why would you want to help someone that you don't like? Yeah. Why would you want to help someone that even annoys you, even a little bit? Right. There's so many other people in the room that are highly more likable. Yeah. Do you think... And they're going to take up all your time, too. The likable ones, they want all your help, and they're appreciative, and they're polite. They say thank you. They walk in the door, they shake your hand. They're like, it's so great to see you. They give you a hug. They call you afterwards. They check in on you. They help out. It's amazing. Yeah. If I had that one next to someone that's slightly annoying me... Yeah. Wow. It's going to be an easy plus hard choice about who I'm going to give attention to. Yeah. Yeah. Both asked me the same question. I only have 5 minutes left. Who am I going to give it to? Yeah. Right. And so that almost makes sense into the... I wouldn't even consider it like a... Is there a word for the group of people that train in a dojo, I guess? Would you call it dojo, gym, school? So the Japanese word phrasing a lot of things is dojo. Yeah. Do is the way, as you know. It's a place where you can practice the way. Yeah. Bingo, right? Yeah. Or Budokan, right? Yeah. Budokan, but we'll call it a dojo for now. A place where you get to practice the way. How cool is that? Yeah. Right. When you start translating these things, and then, I mean, the problem is this is the translation that's been brought down over whoever translated it first, so I still have to... I'll explain this later, but I still need to go back, and my Japanese is not good. I tried learning in college, but it's not very good, so my language linguistical skills are impaired. So I'm pretty sure whoever translated the original translation of some of the concepts from judo could be off. Probably super off. Gotcha. And probably not off intentionally, but I'll explain all this in a moment. Typically, and this is a translation that someone told me, so I have to go back after this. I'm gonna look this up. Right? Ka. Okay. Someone's calling us. What is that? That's somebody's. Oh, they're out here in the gym. Great. Yeah. I was just in my headphones. Sorry, everyone. Or that might have been a car. I'm not even sure. It's so funny. All right. So a judoka. Okay. That means player. There's a TV out here. Stay tuned, everyone. All of that. Hey, what's up, man? John Larkin's here. Hey, John, we're just doing a nice podcast real quick. Also, the Biden administration making some big moves. All right, turn that up. All right. Okay. We'll wrap up soon. Brett. Oh God, you can't see me. Dude, you can jump in and say hi.
Let's train soon.
So I'm around. I'm always at Elevates. Elevates Pro. Well, we're going to open a place right here.
Where?
Here?
Oh, you're taking over the cheer up space?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll definitely come through there. Elevate's like kind of far from me.
I know. That's why we're open a place in Providence. It'll probably be called the Mayo Planchi. So Sergi and I and Serge will run it.
Oh.
Sergi is now a police officer across the street.
Yeah. No, I knew that. He graduated, 6 months?
Yeah.
3 months ago?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, cool. What's the podcast on?
Just elevate Judo Jiu-Jitsu.
The insanity of all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Who runs the podcast? Oh, I didn't know you ran a podcast.
Yeah, bro, I gotta get you on.
Yeah, I did a podcast all the time. Cool.
Let's get it.
My apologies.
All right, no.
for the music.
Cool.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, you're good, man. Sweet. I'm happy you came by.
So, a Japanese player, someone
Yeah.
that plays the game that is that sport.
Mhm.
A judoka, Jiujitsu-ka. That's what it is.
Gotcha. Okay.
If you say fighter, that's only one aspect.
Mm.
So I kind of like saying, when I say, like, "What are you a fighter?" I'm like, "I'm a judo player.
Yeah.
Play the game
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
life." That's the way. There we go. Yeah.
So, the reason I was asking that because I wanted to bring it back to that point of like someone being like likable in the gym.
Mhm.
It's almost someone like having like a tight knit bond or cohesion
Yes.
with the rest of the team.
100%.
Like if you're not like willing to be a quote unquote team player, like how can we have you advance through the ranks and be a part of our
It's
club?
so hard to advance in the ranks because you always have to protect your culture.
Yeah.
You're always throwing out the weeds.
Sure.
You're always cultivating the plants that you want to grow there.
Yeah.
It's you always have to work on it as a leader.
Yeah.
Anything bad that happens, it's my fault.
And how can you promote
Total
someone?
ownership. You got to promote
Yeah.
these things. Now, the other reason is you can feel a culture when you walk right through the door.
Sure.
I'm sure you've been to other jiu-jitsu gyms now where you walk into the door and you're like, should I walk out? Like, something's weird. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And you go in, you're like, everyone's like, did you have fun time? You're like, yeah. And you're like, not really.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone that comes through Elevate's doors is like, I love it here.
Yeah.
Now that my murals on the wall, there's beautiful
Yeah.
paint
Those are
everywhere. But the one in Middletown, it's kind of like a dungeon. People still love it.
cool. Yeah.
Because the culture permeates through the walls. The culture
Yeah.
permeates all the aspects of things.
Sure.
You need to have a positive culture
Mm-hmm.
of belonging and safety.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're an unlikable person and I can't make you likable in a very fast amount of time, how can I ever trust you to let go of a strangle?
Valid.
How can I trust you to not break my arm when I give you my arm? What if I'm giving you my arm to work on,
Yeah.
to drill?
Yeah.
You could snap it.
Yeah.
What if I'm giving you my body to throw in judo
Yeah.
and you throw me on my neck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so due to the sheer true nature of what we're actually doing,
Yeah.
to us, we're playing a game. It's awesome. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a game. It's fun because we have an environment that allows it to be fun and enjoyable.
Right.
Now, are some of our players going to be really good, and we go as hard as someone really wants? Of course.
Yeah.
You could trust us not to break you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why we have high-level athletes that'll come in.
Sure.
And that's why we have ultra beginners that are completely out of shape come in as well.
Yeah.
I always encourage beginners that are like nervous to come in. I was like, come in, join the fundamental class.
Yeah.
Oh, can I learn judo? Sure, but you'll be fall longer than you think. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna learn how to fall and move and stuff. In the interim, you could just do jiu-jitsu. And I know that by the time you come to my judo class in like 1 year, maybe you
Yeah.
get your blue belt in jiu-jitsu first.
Yeah.
You come to judo. I know physically,
Yeah.
it can be hard to hurt.
Sure.
You've
Yeah.
been bridging
Yeah.
and shrimping and escaping with pressure on you. That pressurization is built up and built up. Your bones, your joints, they're improving every day.
Yeah.
You can use the stress. So now I'm asking you to like roll and get thrown. Man, the timeline for me to like have you not freak out being thrown is so much shorter
Sure.
compared if you just started judo all by itself.
Sure.
The amount of time it could have taken me to get you to relax a little bit could have been a whole year of judo of just like doing your best to figure out something, and you're probably still gonna be a white belt in judo.
Yeah.
Fair?
Fair.
Or
Yeah.
you could be almost blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and I could have actually accomplished the same thing.
Sure. Makes sense.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it does.
Can't always win that choice and battle with everyone. Some people are just like, I'm just here for judo. I'm like, okay,
All right.
get ready. I'll still get you to where you need to be in both
Yeah.
stages. No doubt about it. That's my
Sure.
promise. But yes, that's essentially the situation.
All right. Well, we've gone on for a while.
100%.
We'll start to wrap things up a little bit. I need to have you on for a second episode soon because I have a lot more questions that I've written down.
I have a lot more stuff to explain too. I'm sorry for everyone listening. If this is just overwhelming nonsense, I'm sorry for that.
Hey, I got a lot out of it. That's my biggest thing.
Number one, as much as I might sound like I'm in command here and I have all the answers, like there's still so much stuff that I need to work on and learn on myself. Like previously I said, like linguistically, I'm not that talented in the terms of like translation of basic things.
Sure.
The other day I realized there's a word in judo throw and judo throw in Japanese, but it's in a judo throw. It's called surikomigoshi.
Mm-hmm.
And someone translated and it's been passed down auditorily from every gym to gym. Like, yeah, like how do you do surikomigoshi? And someone's trying to teach someone this hip throw. It's a hip throw.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the translation or what people said, like it's lifting, pulling, hip throw. Well, in America, we broke up the words. English speakers broke it up. So we thought one word meant lifting and one word meant pulling. So every time we're like, see, lift, pull, hip. And like people just couldn't do it.
They're like, this is bizarre.
And so one of my black belts or one of my lower belts were like, we've been going over this for like an hour together. Can you give us some information? Like, so which part are we supposed to do based on which part of the throw? And I was like, it's a hard timeout.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the conceptual knowledge to break this down any further until you give me a moment to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like they couldn't understand what I was saying. Like, what are you talking about? You just don't want to answer the question. I'm like, no, you need to understand there are other things at play that as I become a better coach, I'm realizing like I have way less answers than I ever thought before.
Sure.
And a lot of it is conceptual information. My bridge is off. Everything's off, right?
Yeah.
What if my language is off?
Yeah.
I look up surikomi. It means fishing.
Okay.
It means fishing, hanging. And
Okay.
someone thought, probably not a fisherman who translated the language, well, when you reel fish in, you lift and you pull.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. I mean, I guess it's true.
Yeah.
But if you've ever reeled in a giant fish from the ocean, if someone said, just lift and then pull, you'd be like, shut up and help me. The rod bends.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're lifting and pulling, but like you're reeling.
Yeah.
And at some point the fish is coming in and it's hanging.
Yeah.
That is not the same as lifting and pulling. So as soon as I said it's fishing, reeling, hanging, and yes, you could say lifting, pulling, the kid goes, oh my gosh. It just lifts. He goes, oh, they're hanging in my hands after I reel them up. And he could figure it out. That was 2 weeks ago.
Wow. Incredible.
So there's a vastness of language that I don't have all the knowledge for.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a vastness of psychological, sociological language that I don't fully have yet to fully explain what's truly happening to people through chemistry of the brain, dopamine, serotonin, behavioralism, phenomenological situations that are happening all around me that I don't have language to explain how it's working and how I'm developing better people.
Yeah.
I say it's from a test with like pinning people and failure and grit. Great. Okay. Everyone's trying to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what sports are. Well, it's like, no, you don't get it. Something else is happening because they're hugging each other. Maybe that's why I teach Judo Jiu-Jitsu more than my karate, because I noticed that when people are holding each other, even though they look like they're strangling each other, you're still holding each other.
Yeah.
And you're getting a release of chemicals that you can't get anywhere else.
Sure.
In today's world of the United States and our culture of independentism and also like no roughhousing.
Yeah.
Keep your hands to
No
yourself.
contact.
No contact. No more hugging between different genders in the workplace because that might cause other issues. Work in the workplace with two different genders.
Yeah.
How do you even moderate that sort of thing? Like, I don't know how to do all this stuff. I don't know if we know how to do all this stuff, right?
Yeah. And then the last 2
Or
years,
multiple genders, right?
lack of physical touch in general.
Lack of physical touch, okay. I shouldn't say genders. I should say sexes and then multiple genders. That might cover the basis of all the things that are happening. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
The water is becoming murky of understanding. Like, where do we fit?
Right.
And what are the roles within that we can do?
Yeah.
But we do know one rule is don't touch.
Yeah.
If I don't touch, I can't get in trouble.
Yeah.
Fair
For the most
enough.
part. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
At least, but in the aspect of like that one realm of like
Yeah.
physical issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now with COVID, we're like, I might not have to shake your hand. I can just wave.
Yeah.
Right. And that got weird too. You notice that? Like, like shake your hand. Do I not shake your hand? Are we bowing like in Japan? I see why now.
We were doing a lot of elbows for a while.
That's what I'm saying. So
Elbow bumps.
Okay. So what if I told you for like
Elbows don't have germs.
the development? Jean Piaget, which I have to do way more reading of. Jean Piaget brought up a concept when kids are really young. They need to do rough play. And the kids that miss out on rough play don't do very well.
Me and my brother got a lot of that.
Yeah, you have a brother. What about the only children?
Yeah.
What about the children that parents say like, no rough house, we don't add violence in the house. You know,
Yeah.
Like, ooh, that's not. It doesn't have to be violence. It could be something else. It could be building blocks of character.
Sure.
Building blocks of confidence and understanding how to play with others. I mean, if everything's
Just like
essentially
dogs.
a game,
Yeah.
well, you need to know how to play the game with individuals and with groups of people.
Mm.
And so if you miss fundamental blocks of growing up, it's going to be very hard to be hanging out with people at school or outside of school and making friends. And if you can't make friends, it can be very difficult to find mentors. And if you can't find mentors, it can be very difficult to develop into your true self, your potential self.
Wow.
I know. Anyways, that's why I teach Judo and Jiu-Jitsu, because I get to give you the opportunity to be close to another person in the idea of a sport or martial art where everyone's trying to improve themselves together as a team entity in a more individualistic growing sport. A place where you can find yourself by yourself, but with the aid of other people that are offering help if you so accept it. Bizarro land stuff.
Wow.
I know, man.
Deep.
There's so much more than that, but I'll close it down. Let's put a pin on that for next time.
It sounds
that way I
good.
can have more papers and research next to me as to what's actually going on, what I truly think I'm doing for like the world. Okay, so just all right.
So
Next one.
I'm gonna just do a quick wrap up. Obviously, we want to shout out Elevate Dojo, locations in Middletown and Exeter, maybe Providence.
Yeah,
We'll
August.
see. Yeah.
August.
Let's go.
It'll most likely be called Neo Quanchi. You have to understand, my family members all have dojos right now, and
Sure.
we're gonna keep moving and grooving.
Cool.
I can give you the whole business reason for that, but I can also give you like the concept of the community reason. If I know that we teach great martial arts and I know we can make major change in our individuals plus community, maybe we should just open way more of them.
Yeah.
And that way, if someone says like, oh, I want to go there, but it's too far. If I take away it's too far, I get more people involved.
Yeah.
If I get more people involved, I get more people I like.
Yes.
I know how to build people that are likable.
Yes.
And are helpful. And if I can make people who I like, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your spouse, your significant other, they're going to like you more too.
Yeah.
You're probably be more likable at work. You might get a raise.
Yeah.
You might figure out why you haven't got a raise, because your negotiation skills are terrible because you're not listening and not being receptive.
Not coachable, not teachable.
There you go.
I like it.
So if
Good
I
stuff.
get more people involved, I make a better state to live in.
I'm all about that. That's
Boom.
a big reason why I did the podcast. I want to share
Yeah.
how awesome Rhode Island is, especially from an athletic standpoint. So bring everybody together. Anything else? Well, I'll leave you with two things. Anything else? I know we mentioned Elevate. Anything else you want to like plug or shout out? And then if you have one, and we can skip this too if you want. But if you have one off the top of your head, like quote, mantra, or saying that you really like your favorite. The way I describe to people is you get the billboard on 95. You can take the lawyer one. You can take the Ross Simon one.
Tim Ferriss did this.
Yeah. So if you have one,
I had answers for this. They're gone now.
That's all right. You can put a pin in that one too if you need to.
So for all those that are doing judo and jiu-jitsu currently, I would highly suggest reading Jigoro Kano's book Mind Over Muscle. I think it's a great beginner point to like understand where maybe this all began and could be going. Okay. That's a helpful one. I know we didn't say books. I'm giving you books. My preferred book, the book that I've gifted the most to people, it might be Mind Over Muscle now, but it's usually The Alchemist.
Oh, I love that book.
I got to read it again. Every time I read it, I find a new part that I'm trying to figure out. Billboard. Yeah, I don't know what.
You could think about it. You
So-
can learn for next time too.
I'll change it for next time.
All right.
Right now, I would say for the billboard, I would just say like it would be like black, white letters. Hold on.
Hold on.
People are. I think there's a lot more people that are going through some hard times right now, and
Sure.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not confident that more hard times aren't coming.
Sure.
So
Totally.
I would like for all of us to realize that we can get through this as a community and as a nation if we all understand, like, if we can slow down and just hold on and understand that we can together do this and that we don't need to be separated.
Love it. I think that's great.
We'll just go for that.
I think we'll leave off with that. Brett, thanks for being on.
Thanks, Matt.
Good stuff.
We'll do number 45 or something.
We'll do it.
All right.
All right. Rhody Strength signing off.